This is going to be another episode of Summoning Insight. But before we get into all the usual drama, games, analysis, all that sort of thing, this one's for Yamato. Don't have time to cook? Need results now, or you'll be left starving, whether fairly or unfairly? Well, then we have the answer for you, because some of Factor's chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals need only 2 minutes to heat up. So you'll be back in the game where you deserve to be, with a spring in your step. Feeling like once the draft is done, there's no focus and you're lacking the right energy. Hungry for the next win in game, but frustrated you don't have the right ingredients to even make something delicious. Well, Factor's Gourmet Plus provides quick upscale options because everyone deserves options. Tired of eating the same old food week after week, like I'm tired of seeing Targamas in one of the best EU ADCs and coaches out of a job. Well, with Factor, you can change up your order every week with plans from 4 to 18 meals a week, and you can pause or reschedule deliveries anytime, unlike a Targamas Ash Arrow. So don't be left feeling blue as you lose and stare at the wall again. Skip the hassle and the prep time and get back to what's important with Factor. Head to factormeals.com/LFN50 and use code LFN50 to get, wait for it, I know some of you need this spelling out, 50% off your order. Sorry there, Sonny. What did you say? Oh, my bad, Grandpa. I said that's code LFN50 at factormeals.com/LFN50 for 50%.
Very good. Very good.
Et voila.
And voila. Delicious Factor meal, guys. Thank you very much for supporting us. So let's talk about it, because obviously that is going to be the first and primary topic of conversation on this show, is the sudden exit of Yamato Cannon from Karmine Corp. Perhaps not terribly surprising, given that the MO of the Karmine Corp team seems to be protect the French people at all costs. And so rather than actually
especially when the players yeah, enough about
that. Instead of you guys actually taking a look at what was wrong with the team, which I would say for the most part were not the drafts. In fact, I think there were some extremely successful drafts, especially once they started getting some of those wins. Or, looking at the actual players themselves, maybe deciding that there were some free agents like our good friend Trimby, who's sitting on the broadcast right now. Finn is apparently in Korea. He showed up on the LCK broadcast. Not sure what he's doing here. Maybe just boot camping while he's not assigned to a team. And
target mid lane. That's aside from the 1 billion ERL players that we all know decent deserve a shot. So yeah, the joke is, like I said about that factor, it's not like there's a lack of options. They're just choosing not to exercise them. What they're actually going to do instead, like you say, is pick the one guy who, as far as I can tell, most games did his job and fire him. This is one of those beatings will continue until morale improves type scenarios, I guess. What do you want? That's why, though, Monty, I'll repeat the same joke. That's why I call Karmine Corps fans glory holes. Because all they are is this yawning chasm, hungry for drama and glory. And so when it was winning EU Masters every year, of course they were on the bandwagon on that blue wall. But in the end, like a glory hole, all they are is just another dick in that wall. Going to keep workshopping that till it gets better. Sorry, it's getting close. I'm close. It's almost. I didn't quite do the Pink Floyd part right there, but I'll get it right next time. I'll bring it back. It's okay.
It's
unlike Yamato, I will get all more chances, believe it or not, Monty, to get even better and improve and level up.
It's just outrageous because they were actually winning games, and especially they were winning games through drafts and the clever tactics, right? Like taking picking the Olaf into the low mobility backline. We talked about how we had already seen that on LCK last week.
Normally, fans and analysts by default assume the losing team had a bad draft. This is one of the only times I've ever seen where even fans would sometimes say, that's actually a pretty good draft. What happened to the team? Dude, it's one of the only times ever that someone losing actually probably did get the props for being a good coach. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, and people will point to the Lilia only engage game where there was Emilio on the other team. And yeah, look, bad drafts happen, and bad drafts happen, especially in best of ones. But I don't think across the 9 best of ones that we saw from Karmine Corp, I don't think a lot of people were saying that draft was the fundamental issue. No. And especially when you're looking at a coach that is as veteran as Yamato Cannon is, and has brought so many teams to the World Championship, has regularly kind of overperformed in playoffs, has rapport with players like Upset on your roster that has already been established. And as far as we can tell, the issues were not his fault. Like, he can't get into the game and force Targamas to communicate or fix their comms instantaneously. It seemed rather strange.
I apparently can't replace these players, so at that point, what choice do you have? What do you do? You're not a miracle worker. It's not some Sven Garley who just hypnotizes them and makes them do what he wants. So yes, just coach him.
And also, he was not responsible for the majority of this roster. Right. No. You know, he didn't have a say in every single player that was going to be on this team. And it just seems baffling that this is the path they take, especially when it now leaves them presumably without a coach. And I can tell you, the problems that they have are not going to be fixed by the absence of a coach, right?
Oh, by the way, it's even more egregious, Monty. Remember German labor laws? They're so stupid, they're going to be paying Yamato Cannon not to coach their team while just using this French guy. It's even more egregious, guys. It's not even like you get to save the money. You just pay it anyway and then get a guy who's way better and have him just sit and have no input on the team. And then the team just loses. Like, what's the point of that? That's the most, because that's at that point, this whole move is just a middle finger in Yamato Cannon's face. That's all it is. It's not going to make the team better. It's not a great concept. It doesn't fix all the problems. It's just basically saying, you know what? Someone must have fucked up if our team's shit. So I tell you what, who's not French? Oh, you get paid the least. You're not French, and you're just the coach. So like football, congrats, guys. You're right. You know, they said LEC was becoming soccer. We're football already. Because in football, I can tell you, Monty, you could be the greatest manager of all time. If your star striker is shit and doesn't score any goals, they don't fire him, mate, because he's a star striker that costs loads of money, and they hope he'll get good again. They just fire you. They just say you're the coach. Like you're saying, they act like you controlled his legs and told him not to shoot, and then they fire you and bring someone else in. It's mad. We're actually sports already. Well done, guys. We skipped the whole part of profitability, but we're sports already. Brilliant.
And they have appointed Reha, who was an assistant coach, into the head coach.
What is he by any chance? What's he like? German? What is he fucking Norwegian or something?
American?
Okay.
French Canadian? No. Of course, he's French. And they are maintaining shaves and steak. Yes, Kel Surprise indeed. They're maintaining shaves and steak, it seems like, who are their other two coaches that they had on this roster.
I'm going to tell you something, Monty, because you're the only one who'll appreciate this, mate. There's still a solution there. It's not too late. Because you know what, Monty? You probably thought when Emperor Napoleon was exiled, that was game over, wasn't it? He was off on, what was it, fucking Elba. He was just off on an island. He wasn't allowed to leave. And what did he do? When things went even worse for France, and he felt like it was their time of need, and they were calling out for the great man to lead them, what he did was he marched through the French countrysides. And as he approached Paris, word came of, oh my God, Napoleon is coming. And then basically, they even tried to send their little mobs, their little crews to stop him. And his raw charisma overpowered, like, gentlemen, I have a vision of a new empire. Then France's glory. And then they all just joined with him, and suddenly he had an army behind him. He came along, he reinstated himself as the emperor. Now, don't worry about whatever happened after that in the story. That's not really relevant to this part of the discussion. But basically, what I'm saying is, since Yamato is on the bench and they're paying him, and they're almost certainly going to keep being shit, they could just bring him back next split or the split after. I even think he's so fucking cool a person. I'd never do this, by the way. I'd hate you till the end of my fucking days and do everything I could to destroy your piece of shit blue wall that I would piss all over and make a neon green fucking, I'd do like a fucking tea like Zorro, motherfucker, and then get out of there. But I think Yamato's so cool and he cares about the players so much, he would actually even come back, mate. If you actually asked him to come back, he'd probably do it, mate, to try and save him, take him to the worlds or something,
Yeah, well, we can look forward to the Yamato Cannon's 100 days, which, of course, ended with Napoleon becoming the God Emperor of Europe forever, and there was no Waterloo, and there was no Duke of Wellington.
I just turned off the Napoleon movie like 3/4 of the way through. I've seen enough. What do I need to know how it ends? There's no good endings in showbiz this whole life. I've seen the movie. It's brilliant, yeah. I'm pretty sure he does take over Russia, and like he just rules the world after that, right? It's all great. It's gravy. It's all good.
Yes, and of course the second banishment will naturally be permanent, but the first one he might get a do-over. I think.
Shout out to the guy, by the way, who goes then. Why didn't he come back in Fnatic when they asked? Like, Fnatic had Reckless at that point, not Upset. So there you go. Solved that one for you. I know it's quick, but I just solved that one instantly for you. Oh, what do you mean though? Reckless is dead. You'll find out soon. You'll find out soon, mate. You'll find out soon. Don't worry about it. And you can't even wait. And by the way, some of this Karmine Corp drama might even blur into that, but that's just a little tease for you there. I also think though about this is like a bigger phenomenon though, Monty. Like, doesn't this concern you? I know people obviously look right now. It's just happenstance. We can't know technically that people are getting fired because they're not French and getting hired because they are French. But I'll tell you something, Monty. In light of the fact that obviously that is the way like the crowd dynamics being set up. That's like nationalism and it's about like supporting your country and your team. Does this not make you concerned that essentially in any of the French and Spanish orgs, if you aren't the French or Spanish player or coach, you sort of have like fucking. It's like you've got a sword of Damocles hanging over you, right? And it might not even like this be your fault. It's just if the team fucks up, you're probably the one getting replaced, right? Am I being too cynical? You don't think that's going to happen in the rest of the league? What would you say?
I mean, I think there's a reason why we don't have streamers GMing professional sports teams.
Oh, sure.
Like, if we're being honest, in France.
When you say that, I realise it's bad enough we have like Jerry Jones, mate. Imagine if it actually was some streamer like, hey guys, in the chat, who we putting in at wide receiver this week? You know what I mean? Like, that would be mad, wouldn't it?
We don't have Kameto GMing PSG. Yeah, that's not a thing that's happening. So as long as they treat it like their streams and don't actually have the serious inclination to win, or they have weird friendships and loyalties that mean that they can't make tough decisions, then yeah. But at the same time, it is do we actually care that Karmine Corp isn't good? It's kind of objectively great entertainment that they're doing this to themselves.
Yeah.
It's certainly creating a lot of interesting conversation. We're kicking off the show with it this week. So am I convinced that it's bad? Does it matter? Look, Thorin, it might matter if all 10 teams are this way, but the teams that continue to do this are just going to keep losing. So who cares, really? Like, they're just going to be the worst teams.
Monty. There's only 10 teams in LEC. Obviously, that might need changing like LCS in the future. We'll see. But there's 10 teams, right? So let me count through how many teams are included, because I actually think people forget some of these, Monty. So yes, of course, you have Karmine Corp, French team. BDS, sort of French team, right? Keep going. You obviously have
Giant X.
Mad Lions for Spanish, Giant X for Spanish. People obviously forget Heretics, technically Spanish, right? So there's another one. That's half the league, mate. Half the league right there. It's half the whole fucking league is going to be like this. So is half the league going to be shit / apt to what country you're from? What's that all about?
No, I don't think that's the case, just because we do have a bunch of other teams that are.
I forgot them. Vitality doesn't have that many French players. They're supposed to be French too. So that's fucking
the original
six
one.
out of the 10. Oh, by the way, I didn't know this myself, guys. I don't know anything about Kameto. I don't fucking speak French. I don't watch French broadcasts. So I actually looked it up, and I didn't know this. It turns out Kameto is actually slang in French for camel toe. Because if you want to show your pussy on Twitch, you have to at least drape a little bit of clothing over it, even you can still see it's a fucking pussy underneath.
I'm surprised they allow him to have that.
Ride or die, motherfucker. And there's a reason why the word dies in there. I ride or die, motherfucker. So yeah, keep going.
Yeah, I think in Yamato's case too, to your point that you were talking about with him being willing to come back. I think what's remarkable is that Yamato spent a lot of time last year looking for the right organization to join.
Sure.
He said he turned down offers. He's very loyal as a person.
It's why he made that statement, Monty, that now has bit him in the arse completely. Don't worry, I did tell him I'd maybe give it a year in the org before you do those statements, mate. You know, before he'd even played a game, he did that interview that was like, there's no loyalty in esports except Karmine Corp. It's like, no, there's no loyalty, especially including Karmine Corp. But the reason why is because I think he's like friends with an owner or something, mate. So I think he stupidly thought, like, because he's friends with them, that's going to like reflect in the org. But if you know how these org things work, I can tell you it was the same, by the way, with LS in T1. Don't worry, Joe Marsh did want fucking LS in T1. The problem is, and they'll never admit this, certain people within the Korean part of the structure didn't. And if enough of those people mutiny, at the end of the day, like the top person's only going to stand for you so much. They're not really going to like put themselves, their own head on the guillotine, as it were, you know? So you can only ask for so much, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think he found out the hard way, but it is disappointing that this was the project. I mean, he turned down other projects. This is the project he wanted to work on. I have absolute faith that he was committed to seeing this through. And so for the org itself to just throw him under the bus, I mean, it's 9 fucking best of ones. Like, are you for real? Especially, guys, consider how late this season started. Remember, let me cast your minds back to the start of this split. The European League started like the same week they released the season patch. LEC was the first thing to start. They only had a few days really to become fully acclimated on this patch when we're including solo queue. The meta was highly volatile. They were actually winning games at the end. It looked like it might have been turning around a little bit. They were taking like solid wins, I think. And they did look like they were improving. And yeah, I wouldn't have run it back. Now, I said I thought Karmine Corp would run it back because I thought they were delusional. But surely it is a testament to the strength of the coaching if you are winning games after more practice, right, guys? That's what it seems to me. It wasn't like this team didn't adapt down the stretch, that they just started out with their raw talent. It was they started immediately after this patch drop, this massive changes to the map, the huge itemization changes we had this year. And then we proceed right into LEC. And then over time, like, first off, they looked good in the early game, i.e., by the way, the most coachable phase of the game before everything turns into improvisation and jazz in the mid and late game, where you actually have to have shot callers that take over. And then now you're coming into, this next part. And, some people will discuss this and say, like, well, why does anybody deserve to get replaced after 9 best of ones? Well, the answer is they could have just chosen to run it back. Like, that's what I thought they were going to do. Now, the other part of this is that people have histories, and like Targamas has a noted history of not being particularly communicative in game. And therefore, perhaps if Trimby's just there, right? I think we can say Trimby is a better player than Targamas. I think that is the coldest take of all time. Then perhaps if you have an option, you make that switch.
If you ever find a player where it just becomes knowledge, it's not even a rumor, that they actually don't speak Monty as support, I can tell you in history, the examples are terrible for this. They're always that the ADC has to be even more cracked out, and it doesn't matter. Shall I give you some examples in history? They're not all going to be from Europe, Monty. So here's a good one for you. How about when Ruler had fucking life for like 2 years? Supposedly Life never spoke either, so Ruler had to also lane, then fucking team fight while like kiting, while telling this cunt what to do. Then over in fucking China, good old Jackie Love, another mega cracked out ADC, had fucking Mark, that twat who was on TES now again. Apparently he doesn't speak either, so he was also being fucking microed by Jackie Love while he plays the most balls to the wall style of ADC. So like, first of all, this is why when people put all the blame on fucking Upset, like, bro, you've heard the comms now. You know his support isn't even speaking. Like, the joke is, I've heard Upset be like microing him going into fights, bro. You're the ADC. That's what you're supposed to be thinking yourself and strategizing and like waiting to look for what angle and anticipating a flash. You can't be talking to this guy and telling him what to do in the game. And this is another thing. You know when people are going to go, well, you don't think you can fire a coach after 9 games, but you can fire a player. We can see what the player's doing, you fucking moron. You see on the screen. You have no idea what the coach is doing. There is no fucking visual record. The best we have is to infer from player styles of play and the draft. And we all know, well, maybe you don't because you're a bozo, it is possible to be a very good coach and not actually winning the game. I would say Bill Belichick's just done it for like 3 seasons or something, hasn't he? Like, he still built good defenses. He still did the shit he does, but sometimes they didn't win the game, did they? Because Mac Jones isn't Tom Brady. So, like, I don't know why that would even be considered. And as you say, Monty, we're not talking about this is Targamas' first 9 games ever. He's just come off a dog shit first 2 splits last year into this one. It's like, give me how many bad ones does he have? He's the only connecting factor with all the bad ones. In fact, I'll tell you one thing I'm going to say right now. You know what? The Spanish people, I guess this is your episode to actually flip the dynamic and you get to actually get the props. Because I actually want to give an apology to fucking Flackhead. Flackhead, you must actually be really fucking good at League of Legends. Here's how I know. You played with Mega Washed Kaiser and he looks decent again. You played with fucking Targamas. It's the only time ever in LEC he actually looked good. In fact, he looked so good, even though we didn't know he doesn't talk, that actually you made him basically like all LEC talent. We all thought he was going to be like the next yellow star, for fuck's sake. Then the second he left your hip, Like, he no longer had the fucking Callista ult. Suddenly he's just dog shit. And all these other ADCs, who in theory I think are better than you as ADC, like Patrick, like Upset, they actually can't play with this guy the same way. So it actually says to me, FlyQuest probably does actually, for real, have some sort of like social intelligence or like ability to communicate, or even maybe he can fucking play while talking. I don't know what it is. But props to him, actually, because I tell you what, over his whole career, he actually now, I have to say, is underrated, including by me. Like, what a good career he's had in general. Like, you put him on any level of team, he just does his job, mate, and he works. He plays to a certain level. So this guy actually, mate, Targama should just tithe 10% of his future earnings to fucking FlyQuest. He gave you a career, bruh.
Yeah, and also we have to go back on the past results, right? And like we can tell from years and years and years of coaching that Yamato Cannon has been highly successful with multiple different teams in multiple different regions with many, many different players.
Yeah, there's another thing. Has Yamato ever failed as a coach, Monty? The closest they could come is they could claim Sandbox, but that, you know this. The best player on that was Summit, who we soon found out how fucking limited he is. Like, that wasn't even a good team. That was before they had Prince and all those mega players. Like, every other team, he's actually overperformed expectations every single time. You know that? Bro, He took like fucking Gilius and Jizuki to like Worlds. People like Attila was at Worlds with this motherfucker beating RNG, who at the time were going to be crowned the greatest team to ever play League of Legends. Then he had, before that, he had that Splice team. He had literally like 4 fucking Danes and a guy from Slovenia or something, and then he just rocked up to Worlds with that team. Oh, okay, that's no biggie then. And then after that, what else happened? Oh, then he had Fnatic, which, yes, collapsed. He didn't pick the players. The guy with La Formula did that, good old fucking Dardo. But when that team went to shit, he draft magicked again, got them to 3rd in the playoffs, and then went to Worlds and was winning games against T1, etc. Like, give me a break. Like, the joke is, this is the one failure of his career. And I'll just say again, Monty, I'll emphasize it this way. Is it really a failure when you had 9 games and you won the last 2? Bro, you just got fired on a 2-game winning streak. And anyone who says, by the way, that dreaded line, yeah, but those games don't matter, then why do you like league formats? They have games you say do not matter, and then when people win them, you go, that doesn't matter. But I'll tell you what, if they'd lost them, Monty, do you think it would have mattered then? I think it would have mattered a whole fucking lot. Here's what really happens. You're all so salty that you were doing that tweet. It's Carmine Corp 0 to 9 road. You are here so far. And it got to 0-7, and basically you got blue balls that he never got to finish properly and go 0 to 9. Well, you know what? That fucking Yamato's got blue balls because he didn't get to finish properly, did he? Whatever. I'm on this one. Don't even
I can tell.
Don't even worry about it. Don't even.
I'm just letting you go.
I'm going to remake the fucking... It was actually like a fucking Tupac song where Jay-Z ripped it off because he doesn't have any fucking talent. I'm going to remake that like Me and My Girlfriend or whatever by Tupac. And just be about Me and My Yamato. It's going to be about I would ride or die, motherfuckers. Exactly. What's sad is if Yamato turns to be like, you'll probably wreck him too. Anyone can get it. Understand that. Anyone can get it.
I do enjoy how you just posted the switched lyrics for Carbine Corp to Tupac's Hit 'Em Up on Twitter today, and because you're talking to a bunch of French teenagers, they had no idea what reference you were making, and so they got so angry.
Part, Monty, you can go and check this, is obviously when I'm putting the copy pasta and I'm just replacing the names with the relevant ones, right? Obviously, if I want to make it like you might imagine they would think, that I'm intentionally baiting and that I'm not letting on that it's rap lyrics, I would obviously remove a chorus line that goes, take money. And I even left that on, for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
what context would that possibly have in these lyrics? If like that part I left on just to make it like, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And then they're like, hey, Thorin, not only is that rude, but you got something wrong with your eye, and is your ear a bit, arm a bit sore? Like, give me a fucking break. You got what's mad about these people, I've told you, Monty, is they actually do need factor because they can't take basic ingredients and put them together into anything. They need it already pre-packaged, put it in a microwave, press that, and in 2 minutes, ding, they get an idea. Oh, is that what it meant? Oh, thank you, Kometo. I will just say that now as though it's true. And that's why I love that Wulu idiot actually called his website Sheep Esports. You know what? You might not get many things right, but you've nailed it, because the only fucking people who care about your shit is sheep, you cretin. Wulu grit. You don't know shit. And I'll tell you what, though. Here's the thing. Because they're sheep, they even don't know the one rule of being a sheep. They're not even good at being sheep, which is you can shear a sheep many times, but you can skin it only once. These motherfuckers try to skin it every time. Every time. You let them get away with it, you dumb fuck. They've been wrong about half their fucking reports. That's obviously hyperbolic. They haven't been wrong on half their reports. Point is, they have been wrong in the past. Probably now as well, to be fair, who knows?
And now they have famed journalist Arsh Goyle working for them.
Arspoil, yeah. I mean, you mean Arspoil. Oh, my bad. Yeah. Oh, you mean AstroTurfed. They've AstroTurfed their website. All right. Talking out their arse as usual. Brilliant. I go all day long, mate. Fucking people don't even know. Why haven't I done a series yet, like the roast of so-and-so, and I just go, I'd be like the best roast master ever, wouldn't I? It's like, well, like my secret real gig. I should just do it. I should do one myself. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do a roast of Thorin. Who wouldn't tune in for that, eh? I'm bringing up my enemies, and they can all do a fucking roast, as long as I keep the dick in the pants, you know?
That would be funny. I wonder who would actually take you up on that. You just invite everybody.
The real problem is you couldn't have the ones you want, is it? Like, you want it to be like, you know, fucking like car market into like Reginald, into Froscorin, into Slasher, into, I don't know, fucking King Got Wooloo. I don't even know if it's on that level, but you know what I mean? You want like they want the proper greatest hits, you know, of course. Loco, maybe he could be on there for all time's sake.
I don't think he could do it. That's the problem. He definitely he wouldn't have the guts to go through with it. Not to your face. Nah. No, he likes you too, so I don't think he'd do it. Anyway, so there you go. Carbine Corp's ridiculous drama. I really think there's only. It was funny. I was streaming today, and I was like, "Look, guys, just wait till tonight with Summoning Insight before we talk about the Yamato stuff." But I said, "Spoiler: there's only one take on this. There's only one take, which is that this is ridiculous, right? You may not even like Yamato as a coach, but his reputation and his track record speaks for itself. And there's no way that he should be kicked off this team with only 9 BO1s, especially when they were looking better. And that we can all agree that the draft mostly wasn't a problem. And he hasn't ever exhibited any kind of issues behind the scenes that have led to him being dropped by his team. He's very well respected and has many offers, right? So all things very.
I'm not even joking. I know lots and lots of players who will sometimes complain. By the way, you know what players are like, Monty? They just live game to game. There's even players who'll complain about a teammate or a coach, and then by the end of the split, it'll all turn around. They'll be awesome. And then publicly, they'll be doing interviews like, I love this guy. He's so good at the game. But you're like, where were you on week 2 messaging me in my DMs? All I'll tell you is this, Monty. I've never met a player who said Yamato was a bad coach. None of them. None of them that were ever coached by him said he's like a fraud, but it's, you know, he's exaggerating. Oh, it's just for the camera. None of them. That's only fans say that on Reddit, mate. I don't know where that's even come from. No one's ever said that to me privately, ever.
Right, and he's coached some of the biggest veterans in Europe. Like,
it's coached some mega spicy people, yeah. Some people, if they didn't like him, they tell you straight up to your face, of course.
Yeah, or if, you know, they've been around so many times that if they thought he was fraudulent in any way, they definitely would have said something, and we just haven't had that experience with him at all. It is very disappointing, but you know, I don't think that this is going to improve the team, but undoubtedly, because I don't think they could get much worse with the players that they have. I mean, who knows? Maybe they do go for the 09, but
well, the joke is now, even those of us who aren't French who like their team, now we're going to cheer for their downfall too. So next season, we are going for the 0-9. That is the goal. Yes, the 0-9 goal. I don't care if upsets on the team. 0-9's the goal. That's right. If he doesn't like it, he can go join another team, a real team. Not a fucking glorified dog shit LFL team that just protects all the little pretty boy fucking idiot French arseholes who are born with a silver spoon in their mouth. As I've said a million times over, Tagamas isn't even from France. So listen, unless Macron's going to declare war on Belgium, can we just fucking stop pretending he's French, please? What are we doing here? What is this shit?
I think it's just the loyalty that they had, especially to Sakin for being in the ERLs and doing so well. Yeah, I mean, he definitely has some nerves issues, and hasn't really, even in their wins, I think that was what was so surprising, is that he was pretty much a non-factor a lot of the time. So super disappointing.
Exaggerating. I think he had one game, might even have been the loss. He had like one game I remember thinking was like decent, or like he was all right, and he had like one. And then aside from that, it was a fucking travesty, wasn't it?
Yep. Well, after that, as we change topics, if you just got yourself all worked up like Thorin did, you may need to rehydrate afterwards, guys. And that means you might want to go get some Liquid IV. That's right. They're back with us. Thorin has just, he has spewed his salt all over this stream and this podcast. And so to replenish his electrolytes, he turns, of course, to Liquid IV. There you go, right there on your
even
screen.
It.
That's right.
So happens.
Somebody Inside is proudly supported by Liquid IV. You know, whether I've been drinking more of it recently because I've been awake so much because I am completely a human zombie from having a newborn child and never sleeping anymore. So it's been very helpful for me when I've been up late, especially getting up early, not getting a bunch of sleep myself, but trying to keep myself hydrated. So I've been enjoying Liquid IV on that front. And after a weekend, time to start another big week, celebrate Hydration Monday with Liquid IV. I don't do anything anymore, Thorin, besides stream and make content and spend time with my family.
What
and
else
work
is
out.
there to do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And work out.
Isn't that life?
Would like to see my friends occasionally, but I get to see you and hang out with my friends online, so I guess I've got that going for me.
It's the thing, Monty. You might want a life. You might think, hey, I'm putting in all this effort, but at the end of the day, think about your career.
I'm trying.
I was off the fucking dome. I don't get any props anywhere for my fucking skills. I'm wasted on this industry. Whatever. It's all good. It's all good.
So yeah, remember they have sugar-free options right now, guys. As usual, they're great. Just chuck one stick in there, and 1 stick and 60 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. And I'm
a big fan when I work out. Definitely, it's the main thing I drink.
Yes.
I don't drink water when I work out. I just drink this.
Yes, that's what I drink too. So it's been really great for us. And weekends are for going wild, but have a game plan Monday with Liquid IV. Grab your Liquid IV hydration
Sorry, that is also what this will really help for too. Normal water when you have a hangover is just not that great, guys. This is way better when you have a hangover, I'm telling you. It'll even go down easier.
All right. Yep. So Mondays, refresh yourself. Grab your Liquid IV Hydration Multiplier sugar-free in bulk nationwide at Costco, or get 20% off your first order when you go to liquidiv.com and use code LFN at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Superior Hydration today using promo code LFN at liquidiv.com. So thank you very much to Liquid IV. Love their stuff.
By the way, if you are in a country where it doesn't ship to, if you can buy it any other way, just do that. We won't get a cut from it, but it's just a good product as well. Like, I actually will literally recommend it myself. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So where do you want to go next? We had interesting times in LCS. Obviously, the Cloud9 4-game losing streak has been occurring. So that's yeah. I actually
basically this week, Monty, is fraud watch, isn't it? So we got fucking Carmine Corp over in the fucking LEC. We've got Cloud9 in the fucking LCS. We've got good old fucking KT and maybe we'll wait and see, but maybe Dplus. Well, definitely Hanwha Life. There's some fucking frauds in LCK, so I think this is fraud watch this week. So okay, Cloud9's the obvious one, Monty, because on paper they won the off season. This is supposed to be a slam dunk, with the exception, as we pointed out a million times, of doing like Wonder for the carry or Impact for the weak side. Fudge is the only one we had question marks, but everything else looked great. The lineup looks like they killed the off season. They basically, they on paper were the clear favourite for the season, and I think most people even thought FlyQuest was just more like they're not sure will they be as good or not. Like the joke right now is like Cloud9 actually looks really fucking ropey, mate. Really ropey. Like they're losing games. Like it's fucking insane the way they're losing games right now.
Yeah, and you thought, okay, well, maybe it was just a kind of cocky one-off with their draft against Shopify Rebellion. And yes, it's true, like they lost to Immortals, but Immortals looks a lot better than we thought they would, and they seem to be improving. And also, they had a pretty good reputation in scrims, at least in the LCS, that hadn't yet translated to stage, so they may have had some extra punch from that. I went over all their Super Week games on my stream yesterday, and if you guys haven't seen it yet, I made a video on my YouTube channel that is another autopsy. So I did the Carmine Corpse, and now I've got Corpse 9 autopsy up there, where I talk about my takeaways from this. So if you want to see it with some visual examples in a longer form video, you can go and check that out. In any case, like I think that there have been some very strange drafts, like I mentioned. We have we had the Vayne pick instead of taking Tristana that resulted in some pretty bizarre win conditions for a low range composition into a team that was obviously going to be building like Frozen Heart and have an immense tank line, and they had no split push pressure either. So that was a little bit strange from Cloud9's side. And then we kind of get into some of their other games this week, and we start looking at especially the last game that they played against Team Liquid. and they're playing.
Oh, that was a joke.
Like, Thorin, here's something that will blow your mind. Blabber is 14-2 on Maokai professionally. Okay. Now, Maokai is up the entire draft, and they draft an AP jungler, but they draft Lilia. And they do this, well, being in a composition with Orianna, Gnar, Lucian, and Milio, which means that they have no form of primary engage outside of Mega Gnar. So if Team Liquid just doesn't fight them in Mega Gnar, and remember, Cloud9 has no way to force the fight because there's no Maokai ult to actually start it. You're like fishing with Lilia balls to try and get a sleep, and then maybe you can combo that, but that's it's not reliable. It's not reliable, right? It results, it has to result from the enemy team making a mistake. And so
look at their comp as well, mate. Like, think about trying to be the person engaging onto their comp when they have a fucking Aphelios that has a Lulu sat next to it and Ziggs. Yeah, good luck getting onto that fucking set of players. Also, enjoy.
Also, they were trash talking APA for being a Ziggs one trick.
Yeah.
Don't
and just
ban Ziggs, and then lose to Ziggs. Like,
it's so mad, isn't it? I know.
For real? Do you understand what a one trick is? That means that guy can beat you with the one trick. It's a trick, guys, that he has. It's not one chip, it's one trick. And they have so much peel. I mean, they can peel with Lee Sin kick, right? The Udyr can actually peel, be in the front line trying to peel as well. The Milio actually has very low use in this situation because what CC are we actually cleansing here? And like, who is actually diving the back line? Like, nobody is the answer. They're going to be fighting front to back for the most part. And I think
I know what you mean, Monty. This is a nightmare fuel Lilia game. Like, this is the shit where, like, if you even locked this Lilia in a solo queue game, you'd know it's doomed. You'd just be like, oh fuck, if I die once, it's basically over the whole game, and it's brilliant.
Well, at least in a solo queue game, your teammates aren't good enough to like not force an objective when Gnar is in Mega Gnar. True. But literally, Liquid would just sit there, wait for Mega Gnar to expire, and then start a Baron, and then they couldn't do shit. Not to mention that Blabber's Lilia ults were terrible in that game. I don't know if they thought that just because Lilia is very strong in solo queue right now, frankly, a lot of the farming junglers are very strong in solo queue, like Brand, Lilia, Graves. These are all tops in especially high elo Korean solo queue right now. But you actually have to build compositions that make sense. I mean, there's no ball delivery here. Who is supposed to trigger Shockwave? I mean, it's so transparent what they're doing. And then, Thorin, the best part of this game, though, was the complete runaround that Team Liquid gave them on the map. And if you guys haven't seen this game, I highly recommend checking it out. And you can find it on my Bangers Only YouTube channel, where you'll get my commentary on all the rotations and macro play, which the casters don't do. I don't know what they were doing in this game, but they were not paying attention to the fact that Team Liquid was just...
Oh, it was legit.
They were just lane swapping constantly. Yes. And so what they were doing is Impact is playing Udyr, and they are trying to basically use Udyr's R pressure to clear minion waves, proxy farm, and then when they have pressure in that lane, swap the Aphelios Lulu into that lane, then clear the other side of the map with Udyr, and then just keep doing it again. So what this does is it dodges the Lucian lane so they can't play aggressively early. Aphelios Lulu is going to, scale magnificently in this game. They get more turret plates. They actually just get every objective on the map because Cloud9 is constantly behind the play trying to match with the Lucian and Milio, but they cannot push lanes as fast with Gnar as the Udyr can. So they're constantly just trying to get behind the play, which leads to dragons being taken, plates being taken. Like, basically a 2,000 gold lead and a dragon lead develops, and a void grub lead just from swapping. just from running around the map. It's rather
there's times
hilarious
in this game, really, where it's just like Fudge on Nars attempting to like wave clear under a tower. It's like, what is this fucking shit? Like, you were never in this game at any point. It's mental. Like, you actually made the wrong decision at every point, and you had no tools to work with.
Well, I mean, I really want to give a lot of credit to Team Liquid because they played this fucking beautifully. They played it really well. I mean, I was This was some like world-class macro what they were doing, because it requires, a specific set of champions to do. It requires, specific map conditions and awareness of when to call these and like when to recall, when to head up into the opposite side of the map, what objectives to take. They have to be thinking ahead. But it was just really well done, like huge credit to them. And so by the time we get into the mid game, there's really just like they're already at a deficit with a composition that's going to be stronger, generally speaking, in some of the laning phases, especially when they wanted to power through with the Lucian and the bot side. And for the rest of the game, Liquid just refuses to give them the fights that they want. They blow Fudge's TP. They make sure that he's coming in when he's in, just out of Mega Gnar, so he's on cooldown and can't even build up his rage bar anymore. Like, it is very, very well done. And Impact plays this game fucking phenomenally.
That's got to be one of your biggest pet peeves, right, Monty? Because think how long Gnar's been in this game, bro. Didn't it come out in like 2015 or something, Monty? Something mental like that. It's been the number one rule always when you're around an objective is you just look at the fucking rage bar. The amount of teams that are like, right, it's we've lost it, so we can still go in. It's like, you can't. That's why they were just stood there waiting for you. What do you think they were doing?
But what else could they do? Because the draft is so shit, Thorin. It's so shit.
Yeah, true.
Because so what's your choice is you either go in or you lose Baron. Because you made this decision to build this composition, and they just played around Narbar. Like, they're professional players. They know how to do this. If you don't have a way, this is why they needed the Maokai. And we know Blabber's a great Maokai player. Like, this is not a question. Maybe he got into his own head because he played the AP Maokai build, which is not great right now, guys, into Shopify Rebellion, because they felt like, oh, we have double 80 carry, blah, 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 blah. And they lost that game, so maybe he lost a little bit of confidence in it. But in the meantime, guys, literally on this same patch, because Europe is on this patch too, Maokai is like first pick, first ban worthy.
Yes.
First pick or ban worthy. We see the same shit in LPL. We see the same shit in LCK. It fell all the way through this draft. It was a great pick in this team composition, because then you have a way to actually use Mega Gnar, because they either have to get off an objective, or you catch them out with Maokai ult and you can follow up with Mega Gnar. And if you can do that, then you have two targets for Orianna Ball, either the Mega Gnar or you have Maokai on Twisted Advance going in, right? So it is very confusing, the decisions that Cloud9 has been making. And that's just on the draft front, Thorin. We haven't even gotten into the rest of this shit yet, because that's not the only reason they're losing. Right.
Oh, and by the way, you can even add in a secondary factor, which is if you have Maokai and Gnar, and then you've got Milio, they can't even CC you as you go in. That compat, she works. You will get on the back line. That makes sense at that point in time.
Yeah, they can't counter-engage you very effectively. Which is that there are just like a lot of really silly min-maxing plays. So, for example, in Immortals, like, Jojo just doesn't feel like flashing Barnold. And so he gets taken out, then they lose objectives.
Enjoy dying, I guess.
And then lose, even more gold from objectives being taken, right? In the game they played against FlyQuest, like, Masu and Busio just put Berserker and Vulcan in the fucking ground because Berserker's playing
Setting for the ones in the back. That sentence was just said out loud by Monty, who you all claims in Cloud9's pocket. And he's by. So say that sentence again. Now, let me just hear it all. Let me strap in. Go on. Say it.
Masu and Busio put Cloud9 in the fucking ground. Like, they put Berserker and...
You mean that Berserker that I'm told is like, a cunt's hair off fucking Viper and would just dominate the LPL? He's getting put in the ground by people I can't even remember the name. Masao and Busio, people don't know. But the joke is like, you don't even know any of these fucking people. They're just nobodies. What the fuck? But they're actually not looking bad, to be fair. They're looking not bad in LCS.
They're looking great. We'll talk about FlyQuest in a little bit. But it was because Berserker is walking up on a minion wave into hook range of Nautilus and just dying. He's just dying. Like, I don't know how to put it. And you were
doing this style in fucking 2014. Monty would start every VOD like this. We're on patch X.X. And on this one, these champions are strong and these are weak. So with these comps that they've picked, Team A is going to be attempting to do a pick composition where they will try and catch people out in the skirmishes and the brushes. Whereas the other team is actually going to be doing a scaling composition where they try to farm up and play for the late game. The joke is, Monty's basic, like, that thing everyone makes fun of on the NBA and NFL, where it's like the 3 tips to win, and it's like keep LeBron under 25. The joke is, if Monty came to the LCS and just did that for 5 minutes with these teams, he'd be the greatest coach in the history of the LCS. Because he'd tell you shit like, don't fight when the fucking Narbar's up empty. Don't fucking walk up to Nautilus hook range without... Like, these are the most basic fucking... Like, that's like a paperclip could pop up in the game and tell you that. This fucker's just doing it anyway. Yeah. And it's like they're just finding ways to lose, mate. It's mental.
I think it's just arrogance, Thorin. Like, I honestly think it's just arrogance where they think they can get, they're too good for it. And so they aren't going to be punished on these mistakes. Well, it
makes me wonder if they maybe murk all the scrims or something. So they just think that these teams are all shit or something stupid, There's that vibe about it, doesn't it?
Yeah, because, then the snowball starts in the bot side. Berserker and Vulcan end up dying again. Again, they're supposed to be trying to get ahead with this Lucian in the bot side. And instead, they're categorically losing the lane. And the funniest part about this, for me, was that Inspired is just free farming the entire time. He's playing Brand.
It's a dream.
It is the absolute dream, because you don't actually have to cover for your bot side. You're not covering for any like rel dives with Lucian when you might be pushed in, because Varus Nautilus, not the best at pushing lanes, guys. Like, and you are going to be down in terms of some of these trades, especially with the Milio range on the Lucian and like first strike on Lucian, right? So, Brand doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't have to cover bot side. He doesn't have to worry about his bot lane being dove. He just gets to farm his own jungle the entire time and scale into the late game. Jensen, Papa Smithy pointed this out to be on my stream, but Jensen literally has a 75% career win rate on Orianna.
Pretty insane, mate. Yeah.
Just nuts, considering I think he's literally played like 100 Ori games and he's won 75 of them.
That's bonkers,
So he's back on the Orianna in this game doing some work. But yeah, it was just kind of free. It was just kind of free because the lane that they were supposed to be playing through, Cloud9, was getting dumpstered due to their own mistakes. And then they are just sitting there in the late game. And then finally, when we talk about just individual poor play.
Shout out to Jensen as well. Another player, look in a Western context this time, another player with just insane longevity in their career, mate. Like, I don't know that he's at his like season 7 peak, but he's not that far. If you look at the league, he's just a really good player again, mate. He just, like you say, certain qualities. This is why that famous quote in sports exists, where it's like fucking form is temporary, class is permanent. Like, these players, you just give them the right team and the right chance, they come back. And he was decent on dig anyway. He's just right back to being good again, mate. Just does his job, like you say.
The only split he was kind of bad was the one he came back after his break and was on Cloud9. He was kind of bad.
He still won. He still tripped over and won the LCS, though. He tripped over and went, shit, what's this? Oh, the fucking LCS trophy. Shout out Bukes in your $7 million. There you go. Exactly. Still hoisting them babies.
So this game was just hilarious. And, the other thing about this, too, is that Blabber's rel is just terrible. I don't,
isn't it? It's so much. You would think he'd be sick on this champion, mate. It's so bizarre.
It doesn't. Let's just say if you guys want to see some good rel play, check out your guy Owner over on T1. Check out your guy Canyon over on Gen G. These are some really good rel players.
Yes.
And the angles that they find, the patience that they have with their engages, their ability to tower dive, all really, really good. And Blabber, I literally watched entire games where he would literally engage and like ult, and like it would be like 1 to 0 people every time. And I'm like, what is this? Like, this isn't setting up your team for any kind of success. And again, a lot of this has been engage issues, because sometimes they just don't actually draft any engage, not real primary engage. And the other times, the people who play it are fucking it up. They're fucking it up.
I've got a question for you, Monty, because it's an obvious one. I'm not going to do my usual thing. Like, if people already know I'm clear at this point what I think about Fudge. That's not even the biggest issue. Here's my biggest issue, Monty. If I say these 3 names, Blabber, Jojo, Berserker, people are not only going to tell me they're all the best at their role. In theory, in other seasons, they'd all be the MVP candidate, and people would tell me they're like transcendent players in the region. How can you have all 3 in the same team and be this bad? Like, this actually looks like one of those super team that fails type vibes right now, mate, which is insane, because I don't even think LCS should have the talent to beat you. Like, when I look at the Team Liquid roster, it's like, bro, how are they better than you? I mean, as you said, they have macro. There's one thing. Like, FlyQuest won. Yeah, the top side of the map's very experienced. The bottom side were nobodies, but they're also beating you, even through bot side. Like, give me a mate. This is a nightmare. Like, this is really hard. I don't know what because here's the other thing. You can't bench players like that, mate. How can you bench either of those three players? You can't. So you have to just figure this out. And right now, this looks like a mess. Like, do you not think there's some sort of problem here? Like, this should be amazing, this team on paper. I thought they were going to walk this whole split, mate, for real.
I think maybe one of the issues is they have one coach on site. They literally just have Mithy. And they have Veigar V2 remotely, whereas most other LCS teams have 3 or 4 different coaches associated with them.
It's a joke. It's a semantic joke. You know how in English you take a word like fun and then you put a Y and you make it funny and then it's like an adjective of that word. Well, obviously, we all know the downfall of Myth, the TSM Fortnite player, but Mithy has his own quite sharp drop-off where even though he used to be very well respected and loved, sadly now he's just in the doldrums and he's shitter, just doing nothing anymore. What's going on? I fucking love Mithy. I actually think, by the way, he's one of the smartest players ever. I don't know what's going on in this team. I would think the idea he's getting like checkmated on drafts with, like I just said, a literal super team of like the best possible players. I don't know how you're doing this, mate. Like, this almost takes extra talent to get checkmated in draft like that. How are you managing it? You can almost trip over. Like, the joke with Mithy is, I'm not joking, mate, all you need is to paint by numbers and just pick the meta champions, and I don't think you could even lose these games. I don't think your player, like, they would literally just like autopilot to wins. Like, I don't get these weird comp picks. Like, it's like you're trying to 500 IQ someone, but you didn't even need to. You just needed to write your name on the paper, and that was worth 5 marks. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I don't think that they're picking like, I don't think that they're picking non-viable compositions mostly. Like, we talked about the Liquid game being particularly bad, or the Shopify Rebellion game. I'm more willing to forgive the Shopify Rebellion than the Liquid game, because there were some weird mind games because of Shopify Rebellion there, even if, I mean, it's baffling because Shopify Rebellion basically, it's like they're playing a game of poker, and Shopify showed their hand to Cloud9, and then Cloud9 like took that information and then used it to lose anyway, which was weird. It was super weird. It's
like Shopify Rebellion was like, I go all in with this hand, and Cloud9 looked at their hand and said, well, I've got the losing hand, but I call.
Yeah,
like, exactly. Okay. Well, then what can we do at that point in time, right? Fucking hell.
Yeah, exactly. It was very strange.
At this point in time, when I see that draft, like, I'm half expecting Mithy to be fucking coaching Iron Wolves next season.
Nice.
Straight
nice reference.
Straight fire. Allegedly.
Allegedly, as usual, allegedly. But yeah, like, if you look at Cloud9, you wouldn't look at the Immortals draft and say, like, this is not meta or this is unplayable.
That's true. Yes.
What you look at is you say, why can't Blabber play Rel well? And why can't Jojo Pian flash Bard ults? Or why is the positioning so cocky, right? It's not that the drafts are unplayable. It's just that there are a lot of either individual mistakes stacking up, or the drafts are unplayable, right? There are playable and unplayable drafts, both sides, but the mistakes that are being made, like what we talked about with Berserker and Vulcan versus Masu and Busio, poison the entire game plan. And we've seen that too with FlyQuest. But the thing about Masu and Busio poisoning the entire game plan, right, which they've completely ruined Inspired at times. But Masu is a rookie. He is a rookie. We don't expect this from him.
No.
Like these are some acceptable mistakes to make. You look at the NRG game that FlyQuest played, and you're like, wow, those guys fucking ran it down, and that's not cool, and it ruined the game. I mean, I think even Contracts afterwards in the interview said, like, Inspired lost the game at level 2, which he did, to a competent team, and NRG at least has the veterancy to shot call themselves to a victory in that situation. Apparently Dignitas does not, by the way, in the FlyQuest. There were some more whoopsies in the bot lane versus Dignitas, but Dignitas is so bad that it didn't matter, and FlyQuest was able to win anyway this week. But you take those mistakes because it's always easier to dial back that aggression than it is to put the dog in somebody in the first place. And honestly, Masu has been incredibly mechanically impressive. If you watch him, like, this guy is legit mechanically. He is super legit. And And I think as he learns more about the game, and unfortunately they're in a position where Busio only has the 1 year as a support player, right?
Oh.
He's not the super
you want some
veteran
mega vet
support
cop
player.
JJ type guy, right?
Yeah. Put Olay in this lane, and I think
true.
It would be very different. But
if people don't get it, when you have a mechanical rookie ADC, you want someone to sort of pilot him around and make it so he can just keep doing what he's good at, but he doesn't have to level up suddenly 5 years of experience, is what you're kind of saying, right? I know.
Think about Vulcan and Danny, right, on EG. Like, these are the kind of pairings that I think it makes sense to run with. Obviously, FlyQuest, Busio comes from Papa Smithy's 100 Thieves, training system. So I think one of the reasons he's on the team is because Papa Smithy knows him very well, and he probably wants to be on a team where Papa Smithy is involved. And then Masu on the up and up. And so we end up with this bot lane, but I think there's a lot of potential here. I mean, they are clearly talented, I will say that. And what's exciting is that we haven't had an AD carry that looks this mechanically good enter the league since we had Danny.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah. You know, but there's something, by the way, I don't know if this has ever been talked about on a show, because it's a weird, like, UK idiosyncrasy. But I'm sure loads of people, Monty, when they first made that 100 Thieves with Busio, obviously thought to themselves, wait a minute, Bussy, like, that thing that everyone says online. It's worse than that, guys, because you know why it's mad? Because in the UK, there actually is slang called Pussio, which does mean pussy. So that would be like Bussio. His name in the UK is Forking Banter. It's almost as bad as when you all call it Ender Bender. Like, it's almost on that level, like, of how mad you don't even know, as usual, like in English, what the slang is like, guys. It's wild. It's fucking wild. It's like, look it up on Urban Dictionary. If you don't believe me, it'll be up there. I guarantee it.
But if Americans aren't offended, then it's okay. That's what I've learned about
that's what I've learned.
Existing in the world.
Yes, exactly.
So if you guys, foreigners, if you keep it secret from the Americans like this, then you could just keep using it and no one will ever get mad.
Yes. It's basically like the Enigma code. Reference and a half there. Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, I think FlyQuest.
By the way, here's why they're in trouble right now, by the way, Monty, quickly on the Cloud9 point. Because, bro, the next run of teams is all the top teams. Go and look, like the next 3 or 4 games, all the best teams again, right back into that. So, dude, there's a world where they could extend this losing streak. And it's already at 4. This could get like to 5 or 6, mate. This could get really dangerous. Like, these are not games you can just take for granted. Like, they've got all the killers next.
Yeah, I play,
I'm a bit concerned.
They play NRG, 100 Thieves, Liquid, FlyQuest. Yeah,
they're all the best teams. Surely they're going to lose at least 1 or 2. So, dude, they're going to be in a dodgy space at the end of the season unless they completely turn it around now and go God mode, basically.
Well, fortunately, there's a mysterious break in the LCS schedule for 2 weeks. So perhaps.
Why is that, by the way? Is there any reason given for that?
Don't get me started, Thorin. Okay, so here's what's.
You ready? I'm gonna hit you with it. I should have put out a comment card to the commissioner and put it in there. By the way, you know when you put those comment cards in, that's like when Windows goes, would you like to submit an error report? That basically just goes in the bin. Like, what are you wasting your time writing on that card? Go on, then, hit me with it. Hit me with the reason. Come on. Hit me with the theory.
So remember how VCT for Valorant, was going to be on
Valorant's affecting this. Okay. Okay.
Wait. It gets better. It gets better, Thorin. It gets better. You ready?
Come on.
You ready?
Are they using the same studio or something mental?
Of course they are. Because remember, they had to remember that, by the way, the data said that LCS would be better in terms of viewership on weekdays. It wasn't that Valorant needed to use the studio on weekends, the superior time. It was that the data said that it would be better. Spoiler, guys.
Dude, I love the way by saying the data, you've even made it explicit. They're just doing what other industries do when they're at the large scale, which is you just pay for the study to find what you want it to find. You go, well, the data says exactly what I want it to happen. It has to happen.
But here's the thing. As I pointed out on the show, Rory Sutherland, the advertising executive, has hilariously pointed out in his book Alchemy that no one has ever been fired for following the data, even if the data, leads to wrong conclusions. Because what happens is that if somebody makes a bad decision because of the data, then what happens is you just learn something. Whereas if you make a bad decision without the data, and even if you learn something, you still get fired for some reason, right? So the data said that this was going to be better on the weekdays, guys, even though I think the data didn't incorporate the fact that LEC hosting is actually quite influential in LCS viewership. And we talked about LCS viewership being worse week over week, but it actually, I think, has improved a little bit at this point in time. And frankly, guys, here's the real key. Even if it's approximately the same, the fact that it hasn't gone down tells you something, because it's been going down every single split year over year. So if it's the same, then it was absolutely useful to put this on weekends to prevent further decline. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So they were concerned about potentially having overlap with the VCT schedule. And so Mark Z has already announced, Thorin, that I believe it's this coming week, that the LCS is going to be in a side studio at the LCS studio. So it's not going to be in the main arena with the audience. It's going to be in a separate room. Okay. And they're setting up some like head-to-head thing. They're doing something with production. Anyway, no audience is the point for LCS. And so Valorant is taking over. Valorant will be running the next couple of weekends. So they programmed this break of 2 weekends. So we have the February 11th and 12th, then no LCS, then no LCS, and then it comes back on March 3rd. But here's my question, Thorin. If one of these weeks has to be at the same time as Valorant, why are we making the break not in between the 2 round robins? The natural break point for the league.
One,
In fact, we are playing a full round robin, and then the next week, the first 2 games of the next round robin. And then we are finishing in the last 2 weeks after the break with the last 5 games of the second round robin. So it's like, why are we taking a break at this time instead of just taking a different break? I'm sure there's a logistic reason for this, but it is so weird in the context of the format to have this. Or also, why didn't we just start the league 2 weeks later? Right? Like, if they have an extra room to put the people in, so, like to put the teams in, then why not just put them in there for a few weeks? So it's baffling. So we just have a giant hole in the schedule for no other reason than Valorant exists, basically. It's not like there's
Which
a
is
major...
mental, because how the fuck can you actually use fake reasons to justify that you just want your other esport that some could argue is more successful to have its time in the sun? Like, by the way, that looks so bad. I know we're in esports winter, so everyone's like fucking trimming the fat. But the reason it's so bad is because Riot themselves were on some Dan Din Reggie shit of like, we could just take like 7 Lamborghinis and crash them in each other and do whatever we want because we don't even have to make money. And then now it's like, could you just run the league normally for the NFL? No, because we also do MLB and that just needs to be on for 2 weeks for no reason right in the middle of the fucking... What are you talking about, you lunatic? What are you talking about? By the way, the idea, that's like some shit that isn't like an insane uproar. It's like, what's even the point anymore? So we're going to get mad over people making tweets, but we're cool with the league just going on standby so a different game, not even a fucking MOBA, can just run. Like, the weirdest thing is, Monty, I actually believe Riot are so delusional. They think that the league fans are the fucking Valorant fans and they're all just tuned into VCT. I think they're so dumb they actually believe that, mate. I think they do. For reals.
Here's another example of how esports winter is hitting and these layoffs are hitting. Now, who knows if this is actually related to the layoffs or not, but there has been a serious degradation in quality of the UI on patch 14.2. So the 2 leagues that are on 14.2 right now, LCS and LEC, no longer have dragon timers.
So basically, the LCS broadcast isn't even as good as Doinby,
No.
who has to middle in and shot call at the same time. So they're not as good as Carrier. Don't give me a break.
And apparently,
they can't even talk the literal old school. Get an old school boomer with the fucking like the coach from your basketball team in Hoosiers, like to press the timer. Get that 60 minutes, cut. I'm Ed Bradley and the Dragon's up now. Obviously, Fudge, the second his range bar goes off, just flashes straight in.
So any league on 14.2, the most recent professional patch, does not have the Dragon timer. And apparently,
have we lost technology? How are we going backwards? What is this?
It gets better, Thorin. Are you ready? This is not the end of it, by the way. This is not the end.
Go on.
So I was watching yesterday's LEC games on my stream, and you may be aware of the phenomenon where when they do replays and they show summoner spell or ult cooldowns, they're often wrong. I don't know if you know this. So it's like it'll show that it's on cooldown, but it's not actually on cooldown a lot of the time.
It's got to be a nightmare to watch then. Yeah.
So that's why you can never trust. That's why you can never trust the UI. Right. Everybody knows you can't trust the UI in the replays in League of Legends because it just doesn't give you information, which is why you always have to rewind to the actual fight to see which abilities were up and when they were used. Because it is, it hasn't been reliable. So we knew that, Thorin. But now, let me tell you, now in the live version of the game, I discovered that the ult timers and cooldowns are not working correctly. So like I was literally watching a fight and I looked at it at the end and I was like, why is Vi's ult still up? And I just rewind the live. This is not the replay, just the live. Vi uses the ult at the start of the fight. It just doesn't go on cooldown in the UI. So now it's not even right in the live version of the game. So how the fuck...
What this is, it's going to make people end up flaming players who have done nothing wrong. That's the worst part, isn't it?
It's going to make the casters flame players.
Yes.
Because they would have exactly the same reaction I did at times. If you miss a cooldown being used and you look at it and you're like, it's not on cooldown, why wasn't it used? I mean, it's completely outrageous. So is this connected to the layoffs? Is it entirely independent? I have no idea. But what I can tell you is that the UI is an absolute shit show on 14.2. And imagine, guys, if you were just watching the NFL and the NFL 1 week just said like, well, we can't tell you what down or how many yards are left on this play anymore. We lost the technology to display that. Like you just have to guess, kind of. What is this?
Basically, it was bugged and it said like 3rd and 12, and then they just did a really shit run with no hole, but they got 2 yards in, and you were like, "Oh, morons!" And then they were like, "First down."
Yeah, exactly.
So it was first down. You'd be like, "What am I even watching at this point in time?" Like, if I don't have a frame of reference, I can't possibly judge how good what they chose to do was. It's for strategy. You have to know what the expected outcomes and resources are, obviously, and variables.
And imagine it wasn't just you; it was also the broadcasters themselves who couldn't know.
Joe Buck just giving some condescending fucking comment about the team, And it turns out they actually got the first down and everything.
Yeah, exactly. It's like what if you're watching baseball and the pitch count just disappeared forever? This is gone. Who knows how many balls and strikes there are? Who can tell? The umpire doesn't even know a lot of the time.
It's just loaded. You tell me. Should he bunt? Should he go for home run? Who knows? Just do whatever you want in it.
Yeah, I mean it is insane. So I was like flabbergasted when I was watching these games because I'm like, basically you're just in one of those moments where you're like, my whole life is a lie and I have no idea what's real in this game anymore. I have all the tools that I use to evaluate the state of the game have been ripped away from me, and I now must question everything. And I can't even really tell if Drake setups are going well because, the thing about it is like the gray hourglass comes with a minute left and then the gold one comes with 10 seconds left. So that's all you got. That's all you got. Yes. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. I did, hilariously enough, Thorin, I did notice that the replay UI seemed to be working properly. So now I haven't confirmed this 100%, but we may have just reversed which one is actually accurate.
That's so stupid, isn't it? That's so fucking stupid, man.
I mean, but the problem is, Thorin, is that the replay UI issue is not new. It's been going on for like a year at least. Yeah, it's been going on for a year at least. So this is just something that was never fixed, and now with the new problems, I just have to ask: will it ever be fixed? Like, will replays or the live game actually show accurate information about ult and summoner spell cooldowns? Some of the most important things in the game of League of Legends. It's mind bending. It's mind bending. So that's where we're at. That's the reality of esports winter Riot layoffs UI.
Here's what's mad. I'll already give you a little handout here, because remember, the whole game of the LCS now is to spin every single obvious objective negative as a positive using some spurious reasoning. So here's one for you, Mark. What you say is this, that by removing on-screen indicators, you're now going to encourage and facilitate a level of macro understanding and growth within the viewers and coaches and referees, making NA a stronger region without the sort of crutches of having just timers and things to look at visually on the screen. So that's actually how you're going to close the gap between you and Korea. So there you go. There's a free, absolutely dirty, filthy, fucking muck-riddled, shitty little like spin on what's obviously a terrible thing for your league. But just pop that one out there, mate. Just pop that out. And have some caller on hotline like, brilliant, everything you just said, brilliant. Thank you so much for saving my life. Like one of those fucking bad memes. All I did is not say anything real and no comment. No, you have saved my life, Maxie. You are a hero. You are a hero. What a world. What a fucking world. Should we talk about LEC, aka the travesty of the European region? Because you know what's sad? Here's what's sad, Monty. I have actually got the best analogy ever for you. And you only have to know a little bit about Counter-Strike to know this analogy. I said it on Twitter, right? We have a team in Counter-Strike. It's the Russian team called Virtus Pro. It's the one that Jame, the in-game leader in AWP, most notoriously plays for. And not only is he very famous for being essentially someone who plays anti-Counter-Strike. Like, he's the AWPer, the most powerful weapon, but he doesn't use it to, like, constantly create crazy picks and go for kills like Simplov, Zemu or something. What he does is, he just plays, like, really conservatively, and he, like, just uses like essentially like defensive tactics to make it really annoying to play against his AWP. He saves the AWP all the time, so he always has the AWP. Yep. And basically, because he's the in-game leader though, it's not just one player playing idiosyncratically. He actually makes his whole team have sort of this style and identity. And so famously, all top pros will tell you it's the most frustrating team to play against. All the fans will tell you it's boring. It looks like they're just dragging the games out. They get paid by the round. But I always say this, there's one person you cannot blame for that, and that is Jame and Virtus Pro, because you're complaining when they win against a better team and do that. That means the other team is to blame. They're letting them do this and it works. So the analogy goes like this, Monty, because I'll extend it one bit further. I love the Virtus Pro team if they're sort of like 7th or 8th in the world, because then they're not really winning the championship often. What they're really doing is they're in an early playoff game testing like other top teams. So say you have a team with a bunch of fraggers like a G2 or something like that, or a team with a really good core like the ENCE team used to have. What you're going to get there is you're going to get a tester. Can they play this other style? Can they counter this? Do they have the tools to actually basically checkmate what Virtus Pro's doing? And if they don't, maybe they're not actually a truly elite team. The problem you get is when, like as recently, Virtus Pro climbs the rankings, because when they become actually on paper one of the best teams, what that tells you, because I'm alluding to the fact they're not playing like the most ideal version of Counter-Strike, what that means is a lot of the other teams with talent and better players, because you can't actually beat them. Like it's essentially they're all failing the gatekeeper test. Now the reason I bring this up is this, Monty. Do you know how amazing the LEC would be if BDS was the 4th best team? It would be a fucking incredible league, mate, because they are really clean. They play their one way through the certain players every time. They draft a certain way. Everything they do, by the way, is by their book. It's not our book. It's their book. Now, I'm not a huge fan of that style of player, Monty. But again, one, I have to acknowledge it works. It's fucking weird. And it's winning most teams. The joke is the only team so far it can't beat is G2. And with the way G2's actually played sometimes, I actually think it's not impossible they can even get some games off of me. I think that could be competitive. So my problem is this. I have no problem with BDS at all. They've actually killed it. Their staff, their players have all done way better than I expected. My bummer is this. Dude, they are the 2nd best team in the LEC. As in for real. Like, they're better than Fnatic. They might even be at G2's level if G2 fucks around. Like, that's my worry, is if this was the 4th best team, now I've got a cool dark horse who's going to keep everyone legit, maybe take that last spot for Worlds if some miracle happens. But if they're actually going to be a contender, it's like spring last year. That means the league's in trouble, mate. Like, the rest of the teams look so fucking bad. Like, for real, I know G2's had high. This is the best team on, if you just look game to game with nameplates off, this is the cleanest team in the LEC. BDS is just really good. Mad props to their coaching staff.
Well, and they do it with a formula too. And the thing is that the formula...
replicable. That's the most impressive thing. That's how I know it has to be coaching, Monty.
Yeah, and this is going to sound potentially weird to make this comparison, but I'm going to compare them to T1 right now and the way that T1 plays League of Legends, because they feel like the European version of T1 when it comes to how you're mapping out your strategy of how you want to play the game as a team. And by that, I mean, you basically what they do with Nuke is they play control mages, like very powerful control mages in this meta, which is exactly what Faker is doing. So you early pick a control mage of your choice, whether that is Azir, Nico, or Orianna. This is what Faker does as well, guys, is that T1 prioritizes getting Faker a comfort champion, most of the time blind picking it, right? And this allows them to kind of have stable laning in the mid lane, stable late game scaling, and some good roam and TP opportunities. And we see Nuke like really, doing a good job of being out and active on the map and helping out his team. Now, what they also do is that with Shio is they take kind of an early game skirmishing jungler to be aggressive. So he has only played 2 junglers more than once. And those junglers are Xin Zhao and Vi. Xin Zhao 5 games, Vi 4 games, and then Nocturne, Graves, Poppy, and Maokai once. And yes, he has wins on Graves, Poppy, and Maokai. He's 1-0 in all of them, lost on the Nocturne. But for the most part, what they want to do, Poppy is also a very aggressive early game jungler, is kind of play a duelist for Shio so that they can skirmish very effectively and get leads. When you talk about Ice, what is this guy playing? Varus, obviously, but he has 3 games of Jhin. Now, there aren't a lot of other teams playing Jhin.
No.
Besides T1.
I see why you also did the comparison there, yes.
And then he's played Ashe. Varus 5 games, Jhin 3 games, Ashe 3 games, Kalista 1, Aphelios 1. Kalista's often banned. But it is a bit weird that we only see 1 Aphelios game in this meta, right? But what do all of these champions have in common? They have long-range engage. They are crowd control AD carries who can create picks, right? Whether it's a Varus ult, whether it's an Ashe ult, whether it's a Jhin W, whether it's a Jhin ult. These are kind of controlling AD carries that can set up the fight for Shio's champion. They even have a form of
CC. So then Adam can just be balls deep on you too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it sets it up for single target skirmishers like Xin Zhao and Vi to be very effective in this game. And then we talk about Adam. Now, we know Adam has kind of a more unusual champion pool. But he actually
making it work like a motherfucker this split, mate. He's making it work, isn't he?
He made it work.
He was good on the Rumble.
He made it work like a motherfucker last split. In summer, it was also one of those factors where it wasn't outrageous that he had this champion pool, or spring rather, I should say, the split that they almost won, because what his champion pool does is it draws pressure topside. So remember the split where they got to the finals and they had all the early game dragon control. Split. Yeah. The reason why they had a ton of early game Drake control and we're focusing on Drakes is because when he's doing wacky things in the top side, you have to send your jungler up there, which is the opposite side of the map of the dragon, and then BDS would have 3 people on the bot side with the jungler and they would take Drake. Like this was their MO. Okay, and they still do this, by the way. They actually, it didn't work how they thought it was going to, and Vitality threw, but they did do this in Game 2 versus Vitality. It was like going back to their old playbook that they had with Crowny in the bot side, which is fine. It's effective. I will say it's encouraging that we've seen more Cassante and Rumble games, because famously Adam not being able to play Rumble at Worlds was a massive, massive problem for them, because then they had to ban it out themselves, and it was a big draft issue.
We can talk about take a player out of a team, what's their overall skill set, how would they play in a different team. If you ignore that and you just look at how people have performed in their team this split, it pains me to say it, but Adam is the best top laner in LEC right now. He is. He just is, mate. Who else are you going to put in the mix? Broken Blade, the joke is until the Zach was doing fuck all. He actually just been Bing chilling off this split. I actually think you have to say it's him. Wonder's been all right. You know what I mean? Where are we going on this one? It probably is Adam.
Irrelevant,
performance.
Irrelevant started really well.
He had a few games towards the end, a bit dodgy. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. He started, I think, stronger than he ended, but Adam does appear to be, broadening his champion pool into more meta picks, and we still get the Olaf, the Darius, we still get the Garen, right? But
no, but the point is, you can't just ban him out like people used to say. You can't do. Dom used to just say ban these two. You can't do that anymore. Now we just will. If anything, that will just wreck your draft at this point.
Yeah, so he still has the quirks, but can play, I would say, more of the standard meta picks at this point in time. He's probably not going to be the best at them, but it doesn't matter that much, at least in domestic competition. So my point is this also unlocks. So let's talk about what happens when you get into drafts like this. So basically, what T1 does is they prioritize Faker's champions, often picking them blind, and it allows you a lot of the time to counterpick top lane, which is great for Adam for obvious reasons, but it's also great for Zeus. I mean, Zeus is one of the very few players who plays Yone top, for example, especially at the level. I mean, he might be the best Yone player in the world, but Zeus has a variety of kind of more pocket picks or niche picks that he likes to go about selecting, and that does make a big difference when it comes to draft strategy, to be able to kind of have this really consistent mid lane performance around control mages. And so my point of all of this is they have a few picks that they use a lot, and they have enough of them that you can't ban them out. And you still have to ban out a lot of the power picks in the meta, because I presume that they can play those as well. But because you kind of have this, like, I'm going to play a more lane dominant, controlling, initiating AD carry with a skirmisher jungler and a control mage win mid, and then have Adam up there in the top side with some wild cards, well, you're in a scenario where it ends up being, it ends up working pretty well.
By the way, I can actually tell you from knowing some of the people who are the staff of BDS, apparently that is sort of how they're thinking of mid lane, what you're talking about. Like last year, for example, I basically told one of them, like, wow, I didn't expect Nook to have this really great Jace game. And they told me, oh, he loves that champion. It's just that we just sort of don't let him pick it. Like, we just let him expand out now and have it for a game. But normally, like, essentially, we were keeping him on like a small champion pool. Because as you say, like T1, it's just very easy to build a draft when you know what 3 mid lanes you're always going to pick, right?
Yeah.
And you can also blind them. You can blind Orianna probably every season in League of Legends. One of the few champions you can do that with and know it's going to work.
And also, the only 2 support champions they've played more than once are Blitzcrank and Nautilus hook champs, and they've also played Pyke. Which are also just monster champions for Labrov as well. Like, he's just stood on those champions, yeah. So you basically, like, when we boil it down to it, guys, when we actually get down to the nitty gritty of BDS, they are playing pick compositions. T1 for the last 2 years has loved to play pick compositions. They've been very good at it. And just because you're running a control mage in the mid lane doesn't mean you're not playing a pick composition, because you can still control zones with those champions. You can still isolate people by going in with a Zir ult, or you just kind of, clog a choke point with an Orianna ball. Or you have Nico there with a fake out, like catching somebody on the flank. But they like to isolate targets, kill them, and take objectives. And this also, by the way, guys, leads into why they have such good vision control. It is hard to play into these comps, right? If you are trying to play into Blitz, Nautilus, Ashe, Varus, Jhin, it is hard to step up to get vision, guys, because you are scared that if you face check, you're going to just be 100-0'd by some fucking Vi in a bush with, a Nautilus hook there behind it, and Ashe just like mowing you down. So, their vision control also, I think, is part and parcel of this.
It's underrated as fuck. Yeah.
The vision control is very good, but part of that is it's simply hard to clear vision without getting picked off by VDS. And I think this is a well-coached team. BDS wasn't good in spring last year because they did a bunch of different things. They were good because they figured out one way to consistently play a style with a variety of different champions, so you could not stop them from doing it. Now, is this roster going to be as good as a team like G2, which is packed with veterans who have extremely deep champion pools and who are aware of so many different win conditions and who are very versatile on the fly? Probably not. But this is not a G2 roster. This is a roster that's punching well above its weight right now. The players know the jobs that they have to do. They're getting vision control and objective control extremely effectively, and people have yet to figure out how to ban them out. I'm not sure you can.
By the way, that's why what now makes me hyped is this. Look, the actual games might be very entertaining when BDS plays G2, but the angle I'm looking for is this. Dude, I do think Dylan Falco is the best coach in LEC. I think actually he's a very brilliant drafting mind and understanding how to himself. By the way, he's the one who had the aforementioned Targ Armas when he actually worked. Like, I actually think this guy can find very creative solutions, but I'll tell you what, he's got, like you say, he's got the whole toolkit. In theory, he's got all the players that can be the best in their role. So let's see what he comes up with for this draft, because if he can't draft them or he can't neutralize, then no one can. No one in LEC can, mate.
I mean, I have faith that he'll be able to do that. But just to prove my point, guys, just in the best of one, so just in the first round robin, Adam in the entire league of LEC had the highest counter pick rate in draft of 78%. I mean, it's clear how this team plays. It's clear.
Which is also, by the way, proof that you know he isn't just the guy doing two champions anymore. Because the joke is, when he used to play like Olaf and Darius, whether they were in the meta or not, Monty, you could have blinded those. The joke was you were always going to be in a weird matchup anyway. They actually, like you're saying, if there's another angle that you might have missed, guys, they are literally setting this team up like T1, where you get the Zeus counter pick, because you actually do think that's your strongest player, the top laner. So they are doing that in BDS. And so far, despite what we might have all said in the offset, they're right. He actually is the right player to play through, and they're fucking killing the game as a result. Like, the real joke of the Ice Guy is, anyone who thinks, like, this show's Crown, the Ice Guy doesn't even vaguely play like fucking Crown Shot, you idiots. Like, if anything, his job is to not be Crown Shot, which he's killing it at so far. He's doing a great job, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly not the hyper carry player, right? He's more of a supportive AD carry. I mean, he's doing a good job.
He's certainly been serviceable. Yeah, he's doing his job.
Exactly. No shade.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
But yeah, he definitely hasn't been, the primary carry. And like, the other thing too that they've been doing is just like picking jungle super early for Sheo, because if you can get Jin Zhao and Vi, it enables your whole style. It enables you to play aggressively. Maybe you don't necessarily win the push in a lot of these lanes with like Jin Nautilus. Clearly you don't against most other bot lanes, but you can. It opens up the opportunity for you to gank and skirmish very effectively. So,
by the way, I've always thought in this team, ever since that spring split, the player who took the step up was Sheo, and part of it's that they found out how to use him. And in my opinion, he is the bellwether player on this team. If this guy has a champions, he's playing well, they'll be the best BDS you've seen. If he doesn't, that's when they get the dodgy fucking games where everyone flames him. So he's the player you want to watch, in my opinion, because I agree they're nailing drafting for him also.
Yeah, so there's a framework here, and you start to get worried because the framework is very obvious, but maybe just unbannable. Like I could say similar things about T1. It's like, come on, we know what Faker's going to be picking. It's like Azir, Corki, Orianna, Nico. It's like we know what he, but because he's so good at these champions, and because he can run mid lane with them, and because they're always relevant, and they're like Swiss Army knives. They're useful in team fights. They're useful in pick situations. They're also, Azir and Orianna are his two most played champions of all time. It makes sense why they're in the meta and why they work for him. So I think BDS has a really solid. You can tell that their coaching staff does a lot. Like, I think big credit to them, because they found an identity that works for these players, and it is a very different identity than last year. Like Ice for Crowny, you make one roster move, but it has changed the identity of this team in an enormous way, and they've had to shift the way that most of the other players are playing outside of, I mean, Adam is just diversified a bit, I would say. But it isn't the let's get Crowny on a late game hyper carry anymore. It's like, let's be proactive, control vision, make picks, and kind of play on playmaking champions, right? So it's interesting.
By the way, shout out to all the people, the inevitable morons, who will now rally after hearing me say Adam's the best top laner and go, I've been telling you that since summer 2021. Yeah, that's right. Let me just break that down for you. You were wrong every year until 2024, as you started in 2021 saying this guy was the best. So actually, that's not proof that he was always this good, you idiot. He was a very young player who was a pure rookie who entered the summer split as his first one. And by the way, on a giant team like Fnatic, where his jungle was role swapped. So unsurprisingly, he was very limited when he began. He gradually built out, and then when he got to a coaching staff that based everything around him, split on split, season on season, he's actually improved. And now he is actually at the elite level. Now he actually deserves this status. Because as Monty says, it's not like this is just like the world's meta of like Garen. And no, he's doing it on the meta champions as well. Like he's actually just the best top laner.
I think that it's important. I think Worlds may have been a wake-up call for him because he was woefully inadequate when it came to the main stage of Worlds. And I think that perhaps encountering those shortcomings at that level of competition maybe caused him to change or caused him to want to change because I think he is doing better than at that time. So I think they're an interesting team. Do I think they're going to win LEC? I do not. Barring some massive upsets.
Yeah, but even so, if you know Adam's in the server, hide your kids, hide your wife. Adam's here. Shout out to that old meme.
That's a very old meme.
He all laughing everyone up in here. There you go. Just completed it for you.
That's a very old meme. So yeah, I'm excited by BDS though. To your point, like having them be so strong is maybe not the greatest for LEC as the whole though. Like I think if you're hoping for a strong LEC, you hope that kind of Fnatic gets it together and gives the other teams a run for their money, and maybe we do get. I mean, it might be boring on paper, but the G2 Fnatic final is probably healthiest considering the quality of players on both of these rosters.
Yes, and the other one obviously could be like a Heretics or something. The problem is, like, basically the problem I have is this. When I look at like BDS and SK, those are teams that like they look clean when they win, but like the player strength means like my problem is I can't be hyped to them to go international. Like I don't think they do anything. The difference is you look at people like Fnatic, maybe some of the Heretics players. Some of these could do something internationally potentially, but we'll get into that. You want to talk about Heretics?
Sure.
Here's the thing, Monty. What's sad is I myself was and am a believer in Heretics, but since they are Heretics, they defy my belief. They show me that I'm wrong and I deserve to be damned eternally with my fucking ever-loving soul for daring to think that, like, I don't know, the most experienced top side of the map ever in the history of European League Legends should probably be better than this. You know what? I think that it should be really right. Like, you know what? I've made a lot of excuses for Perkses in the past, but bro, you literally have Jankos. It's not like you have someone who's good. You have Jankos. Bro, what more do you need? You know, what are you waiting for? If you're actually that good, you know all that, like, watch me. Like, motherfucker, I'm sick of watching you. You can actually do something now. Like,
I mean, I did warn you last week about the Perks incident. And, I mean, I hate to see it like this. I do. I don't
still
want
trying
it
to
to
turn
be
it
like
around,
this.
but you better play differently than this, though. That's the problem. You better play differently than this. There's still time to turn it around.
Oh, man. I think it's so rough. I just think it's so rough, Thorin. Like, I don't think this team is going to get it together, at least this split. I do not have a lot of faith, unfortunately. It's just that the rough Perks time happened so close to the end of the actual round, but best of one stage. And I think SK Gaming is not the best team potentially for Heretics to face because they just got done getting dusted by BDS. And while SK may not be as good as BDS right now, SK lost to a Vitality that did a bunch of weird and wacky things in those drafts. And while you could say, oh, well, they might, perhaps Heretics will also catch them off guard, I'm not sure they have the mechanical skill to like do the weird and wacky things at this point in time. Like, I'm not sure I want to see Perks doing that right now, which means if you're playing a standard game, SK, I feel like, is a team like BDS that has been pretty tight in terms of their performance. And I would be very afraid if I was Heretics.
I need to see SK do it. It is the playoffs at the end of the day, guys. I need to see them actually step up. Like, I was actually, dude, I thought they should have beaten Vitality. Look, not in the games, but beforehand, I had them slightly favoured. I thought they should be the better team. So that already concerns me. And then I will say, though, the biggest concern for Heretics isn't even in the server. Bro, they aren't even eliminated, and their coach already complained about the format of the split and about how it makes it impossible to improve. Bro, you're still active now. Like, I know you might be making a generalized comment, but that just sounds like you're telling us about your team internally. And essentially what you're telling them is, I haven't got checks notes how many days to fix my whole fucking team. That's what you're basically saying. It's like, what you're essentially saying is, I'm not a miracle worker. I can only sort of take what I have and slightly polish it a little bit, you know? That's all I'm saying. It's not a great sign, is it? Not even out yet. Not even out yet. Why are you tweeting? Stop tweeting.
Having fun with that.
Because I saw that picture where Degon's dad was flexing
yeah,
all
yeah,
last
yeah,
Free
yeah.
Nation shit. Although that does, on the other hand, Morty, just because I'm a petty person, that makes me 1% angry though, because even I don't have last Free Nation apparel. So how does fucking Degon's dad have it? And I don't even have it.
So I'll tell you how, because you were not at our San Francisco event when we gave a bunch of it out. I actually have a bunch of it still that I can send you. It's just in a box in a warehouse in Denver with all of my early possessions while I'm in Korea. So we'll get it to you. Honestly, a lot of people have been asking for LFN merch, and that's something that we still need to kind of figure out, guys.
If we ever get into a post-apocalyptic Last of Us style world where we have to roam like some post-capitalist, city-state world of warlords and criminal gangs stuff, basically tell me the location of that particular warehouse, and I promise you, I will navigate like ancient man from across the top of Europe over like some sort of Bering Straits through to North America. I will go to Denver and I will get to that place like a scene from The Road, and I'll bust it open past all the zombies, and I'll get out that Last Free Nation apparel and I'll put it on. And when I actually do lead the human uprising, that is why it was called the Last Free Nation, and I will actually restart humanity itself. Me and Perks, of course. So there you go. But I still believe in even all these years later when everything's gone to shit. So on brand.
The people have asked for it, but guys, it is difficult setting up because one of the wonderful things about you is you're also international, but trying to set up merch distribution to many different countries is difficult.
Yes.
So that is something we have yet to really tackle, but hopefully we will get there in the future.
I mean, I told Monty merch is for fucking plebs. All you want to do, Monty, is get some sort of like brand, like, I don't know, digestive basic biscuits in the UK, and just like quadruple the price and sell them to all our fools who follow us. I mean, our fans. Sorry. I mean, I don't know what I was thinking of there. It's a crazy plan. It's a crazy plan. Okay. Anyway, I'm leaving Twitch. So
goodbye, Twitch. On completely unrelated notes, we will be now streaming on YouTube exclusively.
Exactly. Yes.
Really, it was Twitch who got too toxic for us, Thorin. It was the Twitch culture. Anyway, so yeah, I think as we look ahead to LEC playoffs, like the most compelling closest matchup is probably going to be that Heretics versus SK1. I think with Mad Lion's recent performance, expect them to take the win over Giant X, and G2 should be a pretty comfortable favorite against BDS. The real tell will be like who ends up hitting in the lower bracket. Probably BDS Fnatic, we would assume at this point in time. So I think as
remember the flip, guys, when you go down, you flip the side of the bracket, just in case people are confused by that. So yes, it will be the loser of BDS Vitality who plays against obviously like GX, MDK, etc. So you have to remember that one. The cool thing is though, if SK beats Heretics, that actually would be a pretty fire matchup. SK Fnatic, I think that's actually a pretty good one now.
Yeah, be fun. I'm really enjoying, the format that we have for LEC. Feels a lot more exciting. We're still stuck in the mires.
I think this is an upgrade. And there's the problem. This is going to blow your mind, guys. But my opinion about LEC format when coaches and players whine is the same as this in Counter-Strike when they whine to me about the BO5 final for like kind of 8 Circle on. I don't care that you don't like it. I like it more as a viewer. So I don't give a fuck that you don't enjoy it. Like, it's like if a hockey player said, I wish we just played one period. I don't give a fuck. Go play something else then, dickhead. I'm watching hockey. Like, so in this scenario, they might all complain. They all do, by the way. All the coaches complain about this format. I think it's really good. I actually enjoy it. I think this is way better than a round robin league, mate. Those round robin leagues just killed me inside. Like, I can't get that hyped off the first 2 weeks when I know there's 7 more weeks of BO1s coming and like a super week. Like, it's just, it makes tracking the sport kind of clownish. Whereas I actually like this where, your first things first is like, I have to qualify to the playoffs. Now I'm in the playoffs. Am I in the upper bracket? Am I in lower? But it's easy to just track at all times what I need to do, where I am and where I'm going. Like, I even get a good sense of who people are in the different formats. In the BO1s, you could see teams like SK looked maybe better than they were. In the BO3s, maybe teams like Vitality can sort of come on stronger with their coaches. It's kind of cool. I like this format personally. I'm not sure why people are so against it.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, like this is the same format as we had last year. They just, instead of making it into two different phases, they just combined it into one bracket, but it functions identically, which I also think is just better. It's more clear for messaging purposes, just to be like, you know, here is the winter season and here are the winter playoffs, as opposed to having it go like round robin, whatever
Basically,
language they used that was super confusing.
They've removed the ability basically for those teams by making a group, by picking the team to in their own fucking group and accidentally make the group of death when they thought they were making an easier group. Like, now you're basically just in the playoffs, aren't you? It's like, there's no group. You're all just playing each other. Let's go. Let's see who wins.
Yeah.
I even think it's quite cool, this angle where we're doing these BO3s now, but then eventually, if you can get there, you get to the BO5. So I think it's actually a well set up. Like you say, it just tracks. It makes sense to me. It's quite a logical format.
Yep. And it just feels more impactful. Like, it makes me, just the format itself makes me more reluctant to miss games once we get to the bracket stage than in LCS, where, even though I will say LCS quality has been actually surprisingly good.
They did kick two teams out the league, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, but you also didn't have, like, you know, players that probably should be in this league, like Licorice or Revenge, you know, even in the league as a result of that.
No, mate, the actual thing right now is you've got you've got some old school names who are still good. You've got the current crop of top players like the Cloud9 of some of the other ones. And then you've even got, like, actually kind of a crop of like up and comers that are pretty solid. The last, like the Sanities of the world and the fucking Masao. Like, there's a whole bunch of people coming through that are good. Yeah.
Yep. So I think that it's definitely like more fun it feels more fun to watch LCS this split than it has in a couple of years. And I don't think that has anything to do with the broadcast changes that they've made. I think it just has to do with the quality of the teams and just kind of the interest of the teams, because even if there are mistakes being made, at least they're being made by new players that seem to have good upside, which is nice. And it feels like the players who are in NA actually really want to be in NA, because the money wasn't just, they're not treating it as a retirement home anymore. Like, it feels, maybe I'm just overly optimistic, Thorin, which nobody would ever accuse me of in my life. But it feels like the players who are in LCS right now are there because they want to be there to compete and grow, as opposed to just get the bag and sit there and waste away. Like, it doesn't feel like those players.
I can tell you that some of the very legendary coaches in sports like the NBA and the NFL say that's one of the ways they decide players in the offseason. When they talk to the player, if they get any sense he's just there for a massive payday, you don't sign him. You sign the guy who he wants to payday as a side angle, but his main reason is to win, or he likes your team, or he thinks you're going to be champion. That's the main reason you want him there. Was, I have to say, especially in those years coming up to that $7 million super team, there were players I can just straight up tell you, they weren't just joking on stream. Their reason to go to LCS, the number one reason was just the money. They could have been on an LEC team that's just as good. Their logic was, right, this is the year when I'm going to get paid, basically. So they were almost even treating it, Monty, like, I'm getting paid for all the years of service in the past. Like, that's not a great mindset to have joining a team. You want someone to join the project and believe we're all going to the top together, and that the money's just a bonus, don't you? I agree.
Yeah. So it's been fun. Like, I think LCS has overperformed my expectations of game quality and player quality, and feels like it's entertaining to discuss at this point. And at least the main games have been kind of interesting as well. And the live patch has, I do agree that the live patch has forced a certain amount of innovation from the league, because they have to be the vanguard of the meta.
Holy shit! You know what I've just realized, dude? We didn't even cover this before. This is insane. I've just realized, because, you know, they changed the format in the offseason, Monty, where now there'll only be three spots unless your team is the second highest place in region at the fucking MSI, and you get the extra spot. So we're assuming that's always going to go to LCK and LPL pretty much, right? It's just an obvious assumption to make. Here's the craziest part about that. This is how you know Riot Global is just Riot NA. So for one season ever, they gave you a showdown between the fourth best LCK team and the fourth LCS and the fourth best LEC team. And they said, hey, let's have NA versus EU. Then EU clapped their cheeks in a sweep. And they were like, actually, let's get rid of that whole thing. In fact, no fourth spot for anyone. Like, what? What? That's Riot NA, motherfuckers. Riot NA, that's all you are. You're not Riot Global, you're just Riot NA. Secretly. And if you're wondering, no, but that doesn't make sense, Thorin, because they're completely owned lock, stock, and following the orders of China. Do you not know what North America is now? Have you not been following politics and finance for the last 20 years? Okay, cool. You're not up on the meta. I see. Okay. Everyone takes their marching orders there. You better start learning Chinese, buddy.
It'll be Arabic soon. It'll be Arabic soon. So yeah,
shout out to Richard, who inadvertently did get the best joke of all of last year about esports. He just didn't verbalize it. He said he didn't finish the joke, but because the joke goes, everyone used to say, Monty, that Seoul, South Korea is the mecca of esports. And Richard Lewis's joke is, well, now there's a different mecca of esports, isn't there? Like, you fill in the blanks, because he wants to not die, I imagine. But, it's a pretty good joke if you think about it. It's a pretty good one. If you just think about who's buying in. Like, I don't think they'd agree that Seoul is the mecca. I'm just going to say that. Throwing that out there for you. That is a bag of joke as well. It's such a taper.
Do you want to talk about China or Korea at all?
Yeah. Talk about LCK a bit if you want.
Sure.
Because I've noticed that, like, this is what's so sad. It's like the hype for Hanwha Life only lasted like a week and a half or something. Like, I tried to come at you, but sadly now you're actually right. They are just frauds. They're just frauds, man. Like, they're just fraudulent as fuck, aren't they? Come on.
Like
Dplus didn't indeed win money. I don't regret that bet at all. I would do that again in a heartbeat, that bet. And I don't even think Dplus is that good. So that's how scandalous here. Hanwha Life somehow is just another prison for Viper. I don't know how to keep doing this. Stop doing this, please.
It's amazing because Viper still looks so
he's a monster. Good. He's a monster, mate. This guy must have insane mental fortitude. It's bonkers, isn't it? How does he do it? How does he do it? It's like he's playing solo queue or something.
I mean, my favorite part is that Zeka actually got a win on Corki this week after his egregious Corki play of week 2. But the way that, the way that he won on Corki was just not what you wanted to see, because game 2 of Dplus, he was still playing just fucking terribly.
Oh, mate. It's like this is why, the old saying, be careful what you wish for, Monty. So I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm not really a Zeka fan, but whatever. I guess I'll sit and watch a split of him playing on, the Zakali and that. And they're like, your punishment must be more severe. He will be playing as and Corki, like, what? And then holy fuck, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? He's fucking Garbo on those. And then obviously you think, no, he's on a control mage. All Koreans, it's easy to lane and play a control mage. Do you feel in control, Zeka? Do you feel? He's fucking garbage, mate. He's so trash on these champions. Like, I don't get it. Why is he that bad? You'd think even just playing him would level him up, but like he just doesn't know how to pilot them. You know what I mean? He really is some sort of fucking Korean leader or something where he can only play these like super aggro, like mechanical chat, and then he can't just do like the normal stuff. What the fuck is this?
He's gotten slightly better at Azir in
the
last year and a half.
Yeah. That's like shitting yourself completely. Okay. And then the next day you come in with just fucking skid marks on your pants. So you go, well, I guess it's an upgrade. Fair enough. Go on to class, son. Whatever.
Yeah, I think, this team is unfortunately one mid laner, or I mean, could be the right meta again, but I will say this, Thorin, we finally got to see the Akali game. We got to see that versus Dplus. For the first time this split, we got to see Zeka's Akali.
When we bet against these motherfuckers, they'll actually pick it and win against us. Don't worry about that. Yeah, that's brilliant. Thanks for that, Hanwha. But then after that, just go back to fucking Corki, you fucking twats. What are you doing? What are you doing? I watched this shorts to fuck with us. The joke is Zeka's whole career seems like he's just an anti-Monty fan who's just tuning in every week and go, right, whatever they say, I'm gonna fuck it up, do the opposite. It's like, we can't win.
I'm just gonna win worlds now.
Just to spite us. Exactly. We don't even believe you did that, like sentient, just in your own life. You did that just for us. It's all about us in the end. Okay? It is.
Yeah, it's just kind of outrageous. His Corki performance is like just really embarrassing stuff, guys. He did get the 2 Corki wins this week, so technically he was 2-0 in Corki. But if you actually watch,
one was against
one was against Nongshim, one was against Dplus, where he absolutely was not the reason they were winning for most of that game. In fact, was doing incredibly crazy stuff like face checking bushes to waste package at very crucial moments. Yeah, it was that game was less than inspiring from Dplus. And, Dplus continues to go through it. Aiming had he's not having a good
just
split,
withered
guys.
on the vine, hasn't he? It's sad.
The
Mate, this is what
the Cogmog game
does to a motherfucker. What is this? This is a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
Speaking of supports who don't talk, I think Wolf implied that Kellen probably falls into that camp, which
so
is why we had Bible.
The server. He's not even bringing like intangibles we want, like barrels or something. What the fuck is this? Who is this guy?
I think that's what Dplus needs. Is they need those intangibles, Thorin, because when they didn't have shot calling last year, and you replaced Canyon with a rookie, replaced your top laner Kana with Kingen, and replaced Deft with aiming. These are not.
What's the logic?
These are not going to improve your shot calling noticeably. One would presume, especially when you have a rookie jungler in there, and Showmaker wasn't providing that backbone of macro management within the game, and it just feels like they're running it back, but with like a worse roster. I'm just going to say this,
Monty, bro, as well as the rookies, and then Kellen, who's just a shitter. The two good players, fucking Aiming and Showmaker, are known tilters. Like, by the way, this team, when it gets to the playoffs, is toast. Like, don't even fucking tune in. This team's toast in the playoffs. What are you talking about? There's no way. They can't hold it together. There's no way it can't hold.
Yeah. And even though Showmaker, I think his individual performance has been a lot better, one of the things that helped out Dplus to be kind of a pretty good team last year, but still well below the upper echelon of like the top three that were Gen G, T1, and KT towards the end of summer, was the fact that Deft was very consistent. And now that you have Aiming just like solo throwing games at times, it just leads to crazy variance. And Lucid's been great. Like, honestly, for a rookie player, Lucid's been great. But just like we talked about Masu earlier, you still are going to have moments where he makes mistakes. His first game against Hanwha Life, he gets absolutely wrecked in the river at the start of the game. It really just messes up the entire game plan. And you're just going to lose some games because Lucid is inexperienced. And that's what you get, especially when you're going.
Just wait for summer. Summer's when he'll come online properly, and that's when they'll have a chance, I think. Because you need to, like, the good thing about LCK is you get a lot of games under your belt in the split. Like, he's going to get a lot of best of three. So I think that's when you can judge this guy properly. He's been very promising so far.
Yeah, and Wolf had some theories on the Monty and Wolf show that I do with him on this channel where we talk about it at length, so you guys can listen to that. But for those of you clamoring for Thanatos, like, he's not even playing in Challenger right now. He's like in contract hell, potentially. Nobody knows, but he could have been just like promised, basically promised to another team or something like that. And so he has not actually been active. So nobody knows if it's even possible for them to call him up. Another possibility is that he has been scrimming with the main roster, and so they might call him up, right? But as of right now, he doesn't appear to be actively participating in challengers for Dplus, so nobody really knows what his status is and if he's going to show up in the main roster at any point in time. But even then, does adding more rookies solve your fundamental issues? No.
I feel like there's an obvious skit where the beginnings of it are just right there, Monty. And all you have to do is just workshop it a bit. It's right there. Essentially, we could do a skit playing on the concept of the Monty Hall concept, where instead Monty actually allows you to change a player mid-split, but you only change when he offers the second one because he always has to show you a goat. See, there's even a whole thing there. There's a thing going on there. I'm telling you, if you workshop it, it's right there. It's right there for you. It's waiting for you. And then at the end, Double still doesn't understand whether it works or not. So, that'll be the punchline at the end, won't it?
So yeah, otherwise, this was a pretty boring week in LCK. Again, if you want more information, go check out the Monty and Wolf show where we talk about some of this stuff in depth, because it was basically all top teams playing bottom teams, with the exception of the Hanwha Life Dplus, and Dplus is being underwhelming. The other main story that we have to talk about, though, is that Guangdong Freaks are actually looking like a good team, which is
it's not insane.
Intriguing.
I know, it's so insane, mate.
It's intriguing.
But you have to... Like, the real reason is there's obviously two reasons, Monty. One, they got Cos, who was actually like a good jungler. He was never super elite for me, but he was good. And then, mate, the Bull guy is the fucking truth. This guy is fucking way too good. How's he on this team? They've scouted the fuck out of this guy. Where's this guy come from? He actually looks really good.
So For those of you who are not caught up on the latest of the Guangdong Freaks, so there was a lot of buzz going on last year because they were scrimming T1 to prepare them for the World Finals that they ended up winning. T1 players did shout out Guangdong in that kind of post Worlds. They were, as I understand, they were also scrimming a lot earlier than a lot of the other LCK teams. So this is a team that has been really quite strong, at least in the scrims, and has been practicing really hard. Now we get it. We say, okay, well, maybe this team is going to take the next step. Obviously, their coach is CV Max. He's renowned for cultivating up-and-coming Korean talents, particularly the Griffin roster that had a major breakout year. And then many of those players went on to massive success on a global scale. So Guangdong, comes in this year and we're expecting something. They proceed to have an absolutely miserable week one, look terrible. Taeyun, their AD carry, is god-awful. Okay. Come week two, they call up their challengers AD carry, who, according to most of the people who are casting, like the LCK casters who were casting challengers last year, not really anything special. He proceeds to completely manhandle KT, and he looks super aggressive, super confident, very cocky, like on camera as well, very entertaining player to watch. So they pull off an upset against KT. Now, was this a trap game? Was KT too cocky because he's a Draven specialist, so they were banning Draven, then Deft took away the Draven, even though Deft isn't really a Draven player historically in his career, and he lost to Callista, like giving away a power pick. So you're like, okay, well, how legit is this? Here was the week where we found out whether they were legit, guys, because they played Dplus, and then they played Gen G. They managed to beat Dplus 2-0 nonetheless. And I have been advocating for Dudu. Like, if you heard me talk a lot about top laners last year, I was always saying like Dudu is actually quietly one of the best top laners in the LCK. Now we have Cuz, who's coming off an actually extremely good summer split and Worlds. This might be the peak that we've ever seen Cuz play. And Cuz is on an absolute tear right now, by the way, guys. He is like solo winning games. You watch Guangdong versus Dplus game 2, watch him play Poppy, a champion he doesn't really play, by the way, historically at the professional level. He's not a Poppy player. He's not Owner. He's not Peanut. He's played like 12 games of Poppy in his entire very long career, including this one. And he completely wins the game. Clutch ults in team fights, extremely good map presence, excellent objective control, plays an absolute lights out banger. And we get Bull, again, playing meta champions. First he plays Senna, then he plays Lucian. He's not just stuck on the Draven. Him and Andil, who were a duo in Challengers, have apparently just remembered all that synergy that they had, even though Andil made the call-ups sooner last year than Bull did. Andil, who looked kind of rough, if we're being honest, in the first week of competition, has looked really good on Nami, Nautilus, these kind of champions. Dudu is still great. Bulldog has had he was kind of up and down, but he's starting to have some pretty good games, particularly on the Talia, which is why, against Gen G, we started to see those bans coming through. And yes, they lost to Gen G, but this was kind of an expected result. But I think that they did a pretty good job in at least game number 1 of being competitive. They did get blown out big time in game number 2, but there's an obvious...
They're a fucking super team. Like, they are supposed to lose. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And also for the point in this team's development right now, like Guangdong might be the 4th best team in LCK.
It's like you
I don't
say,
think
mate,
that's outrageous to say.
Once you realize how good the Bull guy is, suddenly this is like a sleeper roster. Like, it's actually looking way better than you figure. Yeah.
Yeah. And because here's the thing, Thorin, they've already beaten KT and Dplus.
Yes.
So like, are they the 4th best team? They've also shown a surprising amount of versatility while doing it. I will say that there are some caveats. They do make a lot of kind of noob mistakes. They apply pressure. Like, certain players will walk up and apply pressure. Like Bulldog will apply pressure when there's a chance that he can be ganked, or like in the mid game when they haven't like quite evenly applied pressure across lanes. So they do give opportunities to get themselves picked off, which is pretty, important, because they could give up objectives. Like, their objective control is not the greatest, but their early game planning has been really tight, and this team is like quite good mechanically, and they're quite good at team fighting, honestly. So there are ways to beat them. They do miss position on the map, and they do overextend. I think that those are pretty big faults of theirs right now that are punishable by very good teams. But I mean, credit to them for this roster of players. They are vastly overperforming expectations, and Bull has become, if you haven't seen Kwangdong yet, like one of the most exciting players to watch in the LCK, particularly among what is looking like a pretty strong crop of rookies in like Lucid, Perfect, and now Bull, which is fun.
This is why the joke is, again, even though I can't know what coaches are doing, actually, I'm a fan of CV Max teams in a way I'm a fan of players normally. I'll just give them all a chance because the guy's always cooking something, mate. He'll always find some angle, some edge, some weird thing. Like, he's just got a really interesting mind for the game. He's one of those people I really wish spoke like fluent English and we could just have him on shows. I bet he's fucking fascinating to talk to.
Yeah.
And obviously, Monty, here's the joke. He's, he knows how to run a team. He's not afraid to give, a player a little clip around the ear.
It's outrageous, like that.
No,
even
they acted like he was like fucking Bobby Knight, like power bombing someone through a fucking table or something. Like, give me a break, mate. That song was so fucking fugazi. I'm telling you, that's just my opinion, but I think so.
I mean, they didn't even find anything really at the end of it either. So whatever. Yeah, I think that one was quite overblown. Was quite overblown. But his track record like speaks for itself, and this is another reason why you give him a long-term project, because while Kwangdong wasn't great last year, they did strategically make some upgrades with veteran players like Cuz, and Bull, Andal has looked really good since Bull has been with him. Bull has looked pretty good. Sometimes Bull is too aggressive, but again, it's like Masu. It's better to be able to dial it back than have to convince somebody to see what the limits of their play are. So it's fun. They're a fun team to watch. They're actually like very, very entertaining. Cuz is having a fucking monster split. Like,
here's the thing, Monty. Even though obviously some of the other teams that we wanted to be good are somewhat fraudulent, the key thing is this. I was really scared when this split began. It would just be like Gen G and T1 racing to the finish line, and then everyone else is just an also run, and like the third and fourth spots would just be like a meme, like Dplus was at this last Worlds. Look, obviously there's a lot of time to go in the season, but how competitive the split is, I actually think it's going to force those fraud teams to like level up or figure their shit out. Like, there's no way like Dplus, fucking Hanwha Life, there's no way fucking KT, there's no way these teams can just chill. Like, they actually can get beaten like by fucking Kwangdo now. Like, you have to take all these games seriously. You're gonna have to you're not just waiting 3 weeks to play T1 again. Like, you have to get your shit together week to week now. It's actually made LCK way more exciting.
Yeah, it has. And
this level of upset potential, I don't think so. I've never seen it. Normally, LCK is normally the one you do because it's best of threes. They're the easiest league ever to take the favorite side when they've got like a 1.4 or whatever. You just take it all day. Dude, it's mad sus to do that on some of these matchups now. You gotta really know. You can't look at the names anymore. They won't help you.
And they're nowhere near as good as Kwangdong is, but Nongshim has actually been quite surprising as well in terms of overperformance. Like, Call Me, their new mid laner, has had some pretty good games. Sylvie, their jungler, has been pretty good. Jiwoo, their AD carry, has been pretty good. Their teamwork is still kind of bad, but if they start clicking in a macro sense, then, I mean, they do have some level of individual talent on this roster. So probably not going to pull off any major upsets, but they did take a game off of Hanwha Life. It was a kind of a dumpster fire of a game, and it took them a really long time to close it. But Sylvie was an absolute monster. Sylvie and Jiwoo just monstered that game. So they're good enough at least to like kind of have individual performances that take over and can vault them into wins against teams that we would consider top 3. So yeah, I think it's been fun. Worth noting, guys, that there are not going to be any LCK matches this next week for Lunar New Year, and the last day of LPL is also coming up tomorrow, and they'll be off for 10 days. So we'll have a bit of a break. It's interesting that this year, Thorin, I actually like this because I don't like having to watch all 4 major regions simultaneously. It's nice that the Asian regions are taking this break, and then LCS is taking a break right after that. And then because of the desync of LEC, where they have 3 splits, there'll be a time without LEC while some of the other leagues are running. So anyway, yeah, about the age thing. Yeah, it is. It is about like when your kids get older, it's usually according to tradition on the new year. So, like you're right, historically it would have been the Lunar New Year, but now they just use January 1st because that's the schedule that people operate on.
Maybe there's a tradition like that in France, because I feel like in January watching Carmine Corp made me feel a year older. Like, closer to death, losing hope, all the good times in the past.
Fair enough. It does lead to very hilarious scenarios though.
Yes.
With Korean kids where like a baby born on December 31st is like 2 years old the day after they're born.
It's like a metaphor for Korean League of Legends players. They're just that much more advanced. They level up in years, and we're just like grinding out splits, slowly aging. We're aging like tortoises or something.
Yeah. So LPL is going on that break. We actually were doing this show while the BLG LNG match was going on. And I have yet to catch up on the JDG LNG match. I don't know why LNG had to play both of these teams back to back. I will be reviewing them on my stream before Power Spike. So I'll have to talk about those games on Power Spike, guys, because unfortunately, I have not seen those games yet. But I haven't, but I can talk a little bit more broadly to kind of the strength of LPL. BLG just looks so fucking good.
Oh, it's nuts, isn't it? Like I keep saying to people, the real problem they have in this team is just that the order how things were announced in the offseason initially made you less hyped, and then people didn't appropriately build the hype back up. Like, dude, this team it's everything you could want it to be. All the players that stayed are pretty much as good, maybe slightly not as good. But then, like, the joke is, then you just have Knight. And Knight, by the way, doesn't even... in JDG, would sometimes play for Kanavi. Dude, he just plays, like, full-on star player mid laner now. Like, this is the shit. This team is so fucking strong. Like, the Jun guy already was a beast. Bin is the best top laner probably in the world. Knight's a monster. Like, even Unspeed having good games. Like, that team actually looks really scary. Like, the cool thing is, this might be number one team in the world. We're back to that thing again of, is it the LCK number one or is it the LPL one? Which I think is kind of a cool dynamic always. And we're still a few months from MSI, so plenty of time to build the hype for everyone.
Yeah, they look great. I'm excited to see some of these more recent games. LNG has kind of played a fiesta game against Weibo just a little bit. It wasn't the cleanest. It was very entertaining, but it wasn't the cleanest League of Legends. LNG has been struggling, I think, relative to what we would expect from them.
Oh, for sure.
At least Mark, I think, has looked better. I think he started a little bit rough and has looked better as time goes on. But people will point to the fact that LNG has lost their last two matches. I mean, remember, you only play one round robin, so you don't have that many opportunities to play the best teams. And they literally had to play Weibo, JDG, and BLG in back-to-back-to-back matches. Like, that is really shitty. So they also did very disappointingly lose to Thunder Talk, so that L is definitely on them. They probably should be 3-2 right now instead of 2-3. But because we're so early in the LPL season, like, I wouldn't just write off LNG because they are going to have an extremely easy second half of the split. So after Lunar New Year break, by the way, Thorin, they come back and they have a week where they have to play top and then NIP the week after they come back. But after that, there's no more good teams left. Yeah, there's no good teams left after that point in time. So it will be they will be able to pump their record in the second half of the LPL
for you, Monty. Here's where, if someone only watches Worlds and MSI and they've decided to tune into the LPL this split, they're going to be going, what the hell? I don't get it. What is going on with LNG? They upgraded their jungler with the World's finalist. No, motherfucker, you didn't watch the LPL, because in the LPL, Tarzan was way better than fucking Wei. And spoiler, they don't look as good without Tarzan, mate. Tarzan and Scout was the shit in this team. That's why when you then did Gala, your hype went through the fucking roof, didn't it? It was like, holy shit, now you've taken one of those players out. Look, I know Tarzan definitely did choke fucking internationally, have bad games. But the saddest thing is he was money in the LPL. He really was. Like, this guy actually was doing a lot. So I actually think they haven't recovered from that yet, mate. Like, the Wayward guy hasn't fitting in the same way. Like, I think that's the sad thing. The names all look great on paper, but the actual product in the server isn't as good so far.
Yeah. It hasn't been. It hasn't been. And whether you ever get that synergy back or not is a big question, because that's what we all talked about last year is Scout Tarzan synergy was huge. It was a huge part of their success. And like it's the kind of synergy that's very rare to have. And
sure.
even if you put
Yes.
two other players who are good together, doesn't mean you're going to replicate that. And that was the primary, that was a primary strength and play style of LNG. And without that, it's been a bit rougher. It's been a bit rougher.
I mean, spoiler, Scout isn't winning the MVP this season. I'll tell you that right now. Like this time around, it probably is going to be like Knight or fucking someone else from BLG. Like it's just going to be a BLG player, I'm telling you.
Yeah,
They're
BLG.
going to murk it.
Yeah, we did talk about them a little bit last week, just continuing to look good. I'll give you guys some more thoughts on Power Spike when I've had a chance to catch up on everything tomorrow. Yeah, it's been fun to see LPL so far. We haven't seen a lot of
the obvious team to ask you about. What I want to ask you about is JDG, because again, the off season made everyone lose hope. Mate, this lineup's good. This is actually a pretty fucking good team. Actually, like it works. Like Yagao just makes every team work. By the way, mad props to that guy. I'm not a huge fan of him as just a mid laner, but I'll tell you what. If you tell me what teammates he's with, I'll bet certain teams are going to be really good if he joins. So like this team looks good again, mate. Look really good.
Yeah, I do. They haven't played that many games yet. They played Rare Atom at NIP. The thing about this is like it really hinged on how good Flandre was going to be, right? Because that was the big question mark as to whether this guy
was
a
downgrade,
like,
obviously, yes.
Well, I mean, but it's like, is he going to be watched or not?
My perspective, Monty, is I don't think he was even coming in thinking he's the old front. I think he came in knowing my job is to facilitate and just be a fucking weak side when I need to play the tanks, right? That's kind of what you want him for, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, he's been like actually quite good. Is the thing. Like, I think he's vastly overperformed my expectations of what he would do on this roster. So I've been impressed by his individual performance. We just have to remember that we haven't seen a lot of games from either Top or JDG yet. They've actually only played 3 series each to this juncture, whereas other teams have played like 4 or 5 series at this point in time. But, he's been on point. He didn't even die in the NIP series, and that was up against Shanji, who is one of the more, I think, electric top laners of last year. It's been really effective to watch this team. Like Ruler is still an absolute monster. His synergy with Missing is still there. And Yagao has been a very good facilitating player. The question would be is like, does this team have as much of a carry punch outside of Ruler? And I think to be determined, but Flandre's been really living up to his expectations. Like he's been good.
I mean, to me, this team now is it's just the difference was JDG last year could win through any lane, now they are just clearly Kanavi Ruler. Make those guys in position to win, and they are amazing. They might be the best at their roles. So you can win games off that. You can win a lot of games like that if you know what you're doing.
I mean, the right champ pool too, Yagao can be crazy good.
Yes.
If Rise ever comes back in the meta.
Yes, the fucking Soy as well. Just like my boy Niski. That's why I always draw the comparison nowadays that Doimby doesn't play. Yagao's the fucking, obviously the Chinese Niski, isn't he? Like, even fucking the Soy sleeper 1 picks.
So, again, guys, I'm holding off on making too many comments because I haven't seen some of these later games yet, and that's on my to-do list for tomorrow before the LPL goes on break. And then after I finish that, guys, we will be bringing back the global power rankings. So you can check that out on my YouTube channel. Just need to catch up on some of these games. And I will give you a breakdown of who I think the top 10 teams in the world are right now.
Should we do the viewer questions?
Sure. Yeah, we can do that. Guys, we will take a quick break. And when we come back, we will do some viewer questions.
Right, we're back for the final section of the show, which is, of course, always viewer questions, unless for some reason Monty doesn't have time to do it. But we do have time today. That's all that matters. We do have time. Time is on our side, unlike Yamato Cannon and his sadly short Carmine Corp career, which was pissed up against a wall in the end. And then all we can do is leave graffiti saying fuck Kameto and Carmine Corp on that blue wall. That's all we can do. So if you want to ask a question to spark our imaginations, irritate us, get roasted, or maybe even learn something, then you can do so by subscribing to our Discord. And then there's a channel there where you can submit the questions. It's one of the best ways you can support us, as well as checking out the wonderful products we bring before you in different deals.
That's right. And maybe get merch eventually when we get around to it. The website op.gg, which is a sponsor for LCK, this is true, has a system that determines the best performing player of a losing LoL team called an ace. How would you feel if something similar was awarded in actual pro games the same way as a Player of the Game award? So basically on op.gg, Thorin, the MVP is different than the ace. The MVP is according to their analytics. They like anybody can put in their LoL account. It's not for professional games, for solo queue. And so they use like a combination of like KDA. I don't know. Who knows what
it'll be.
What
if I had to guess, Monty, it'll probably be a bit similar to some of the tech people have in Europe for scouting now, where it'll do things like it'll look at your role, normalized what's the average CS, and you were openly lost. It'll be like that shit. So it probably has a logic to it. I imagine it's better than just the eye test alone.
Sure. Anyway, so it calls the best performing player on a losing team an ace. I think it would be interesting to give that on a Player of the Game award, because
the obvious player would be someone like Viper. Don't you want to see if he gets it every game, even if he loses? That'd be dope, right?
Well, even, bad teams, at least you could identify who the best player on a bad team is. Because I think people often have issues of doing that. It's like why I said, like, Dudu is very good. Like, you may not have known that because he was the only kind of veteran player on a Guangdong Freaks roster that had a bunch of rookies on it last year. But, like, doesn't he deserve recognition for his individual performance, even though his teammates are, like, new and kind of bad? I think he does. I like it. This is my second year watching League and SI, but I first came across both of you in the Overwatch scene way back in the Apex days. Do you both have favorite memory from your time in Overwatch esports, both in-game and out of it? I mean, Apex was really fun, honestly. Like, Apex was... It had all the excitement of... the early days of any esports scene where the field of competition is kind of wide open and the game is still developing its kind of initial core meta. So it's pretty wild. I think my favorite part, both in-game and out of it, was like Envy winning Apex, because it was the first time in a team-based esport a Western team had won in Korea. It was a huge moment. And it was a very exciting story because they had to like change their roster and like get this Thai player named Mickey to kind of come play Diva for them. It was just so kind of unlikely to happen. And it was a great, I think it was a great, like an all-time great esports moment. And being friends with a lot of those guys as well, it was really fun and satisfying to see that occur in Seoul, right?
The premise was that it has to be an Apex moment, not just Overwatch. Is that the question?
No, just Overwatch.
All right, because here's the thing: there were some great moments in Apex. Like I was a massive fan of Ryu Ji-hong when he was just the shit in his Ana. Used to just sleep all the fucking best like Genjis in the world, and he could just neutralize you from support position. That was super sick. But an obvious one, if I can go with all of it, Monty, is just season 1 of Overwatch League. How Jonak played on Excelsior was fucking. If you love supports that can carry, this is like the dream. This was fucking amazing. That guy was actually a stud. Like in a way, kind of transcended the game initially. It was fucking dope to watch, wasn't it? No one could stop him.
I mean, that whole team was really fun. I mean, the Pine games too, like the Pine carry performances were unreal. I mean, NYXL was my favorite team in season 1.
And then the obvious other ones, you can pick any of them though, is any of the Prophet pop-offs. That guy was just one of the most exciting players ever.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Monty, just now, early Friday morning, February 2nd, I resubbed your Twitch channel. You pointed out that you like one of two things in my username, food and golf, specifically saying you do not like golf. Why is that? Rich people sport? Motherfucker, I played polo in college. It's not because of the rich people sport. Classically white sport? Motherfucker, I played polo in college. As a lifetime golfer, and you as a reasonable lad like myself, I think I can change your mind. I am biased, of course, but would argue there's nothing that is harder as impossible to master in terms of skill challenges in our dear small existence. So here's what I think golf is fucking boring, man. I like contact sports. I do Muay Thai. Like I love rich people sports, man. I'm a skier. Okay. I want some level of exhilaration in my sports experience.
I will actually take golf, and with some very small changes, that's the sarcastic part, but get ready. I'm going to make golf so you will now enjoy it.
Okay.
It's the same sport, but instead of it being like Monty says, essentially you play the course and you just over by score, get ranked against people, kind of like rally driving. I'm going to actually give Monty the head-to-head PvP element he wants, which is the new rule goes like this. If you hit your ball within a 5-meter radius of theirs, you're allowed to hit their ball away.
All right, like, I'm more into it.
Now we're cooking with gas, baby. Now we got a little, a little component that could get spicy. And also, once you're on the green, look, there'll be like some sort of a red card system, but you're allowed to have 2 fights. If you're both on the green, you're allowed to have a fist fight. But you have a yellow card, so you can only do it twice though. Like after that, you eliminate. So you've got to be tactical when you have the fight, basically.
The problem with golf.
We've made golf.
It's great. Yeah. I'm into it now. The issue with golf is like it's basically just a 3-hour long business meeting. And
yes,
I wish I liked it because I understand the power of liking golf because you can get somebody that you want to do business with in a very good mood outside in the sun, drinking fucking cocktails and getting wasted while you play and have an uninterrupted conversation where they are 100% in a good mood. Like just objectively in terms of doing business, liking golf is amazing, but it's not even the best sport you do while drinking. That's skiing. Okay. That's skiing. Skiing is the best drunk sport. Okay. I just can't handle how slow it is. It's just so boring. I know it's skillful, guys. I'm not saying I don't like it because it doesn't take skill. It takes a lot of skill. It just sucks. It just sucks.
Here's the thing. I don't know much about the sport, so that people might go, you're just wrong. But I'll just tell you the one thing I thought, which is when I had played it a few times, another thing I hate about it is it's pay to win. So if you're just a pleb with shit clubs, good luck winning, by the way. Like the other guy, if he's a similar level to you and has some really expensive clubs, is going to be way better than yours. So that's why it is also a rich person's sport. You also have to have membership to the right club to go to the right fucking courses. So it's just too much of an arse on to me. Like if it was like what I like about other sports, I always say this, like, I don't ever play 11-a-side field football with all studs and that. But you can play 5-a-side. There's a sort of scaled down version for you and your friends to play where it doesn't matter if one person's shit and you're just playing for funsies. The problem with golf is, in my opinion, it's like playing Quake. It's just stressful the whole time, mate. You're just trying to be really, really good at something really, really hard. Like that's good in small doses, but I wouldn't want to play 3 hours of that. That's too much for me, mate. That's too much.
If you're to be like, hey, go outside for 3 hours with your friends, like I can think of a million other things that I would rather do: hiking, skiing, like I said, tons of stuff, camping.
Like Ron said, hiking, biking, pretty much anything, any white thing. There you go. That was actually a good quote by him in a battle rap. There you go. Shout out to Ron.
It's also that it's just so controlled. Like here's what I think really bothers me about it, Thorin. It's just such a finicky, controlled environment. It's like everything is so perfectly manicured. There's no chaos involved, really.
Well, there's one, and that's the one that is involved tilts me though, Auntie, which is the weather. So me and you, an identical tee, we're going off, but you do it 10 minutes later, the wind might be different. That's just stupid. That involves luck at that point in time. What the fuck?
Yeah, But it has none of the elements of adventure and danger that I like. Like I would much rather go on a week-long backpacking trip in the wilderness, or like skiing down a fresh powder on a black diamond. Like it's just like there's no thrill. There's no thrill. There's no mystery. It's like it's as clinical as nature gets. You know what I mean? It's as fake as nature gets. It's a green golf course in the middle of the Arizona desert. Right? It's just like the whole aesthetic of golf really bothers me. And I fucking hate those golf uniforms that people wear. Holy shit, I hate golf clothes. You look like a fucking dork.
The 4+ or whatever they're called.
Everything. Favorite soup? Do you have a favorite soup?
I'm not really a soup fan in general. Like I am one of those people who's like, where's the food? Where's the meat? So like I'd probably
How about
the sad
chili?
thing is I'm not a huge chili fan either. What I would say is this: my favorite soup is probably just one. It's like everyone knows this one. It's like a kind of a hearty one that you have in winter, where you make like lentils and like a little bit of chili powder and some paprika or something. Like and onions. Like there's the classic stuff. Maybe a little bit of like stock or something, and then you just you put the big pan and you can have a bowl every day and it'll taste just as good. So just a classic one. I'm not a big soup fan really. I'm not some matzo ball soup eating guy or something. That's why I made it on esports. Boom boom.
Wow. I think for me, I agree with you on the more hearty soups. I want my soup to actually be filling as a meal. Like appetizer soups do absolutely nothing for me. So I prefer when you go to the fancy
restaurant and they bring you that pea soup, you may as well pour that down the drain, mate. I don't want that shit. What's that? Just taste of peas. You can't. Peas are a side, not the main thing. What are you doing? Just peas. That's disgusting. Or like cream of tomato. Give me some fucking meat involved in this motherfucker. Stop using vegetables. I've always said this. My philosophy on life goes like this. The animal eats the vegetable. I eat the animal, so I get the vegetables, but in a delicious form. Basically, essentially, guys, I eat animals. That's like factor for me. They've already prepared the vegetables into a palatable form, and then it's just for me to eat it. That's how I do my meals. Everything's factor related. Go to factormeals.com/LFN50 for 50% off. Try it out, Factor Meals. There you go.
Is there a future where Quickshot joins LFN, given he's been memory holed by LEC management? Look, I love Quickshot, man. Who knows what the future holds? Who knows? Hopefully he comes back to LEC. That's my hope. Hey, guys, this week I just wanted to thank you. I was recently accepted into my master's program of choice in critical theory, and I owe my interest in philosophy and classical literature to the both of you. Holy shit. Wow, okay. I never would have stumbled upon these genres with the same enthusiasm in my teenage years if it wasn't for this show. Well, Thorin, we're 10 years into this show now, so we have now gone long enough that we have influenced people from teenagers to master's programs.
The only problem with that is, though, Monty, I'm not saying this like you might imagine to be like very magnanimous and be like, well, it wasn't really us, we would just but the spark that lit the flame, and then you had to, nurse that fire and grow it into a raging inferno, and now you've done it all. But the reason I'm actually going to say I don't want to take too much credit is, technically, we don't know yet if this guy becomes an awesome philosopher. For all I know, he ends up like some Ted Kaczynski nut and just fucking murder it. And at which point, I don't want any association between it. I might have said, all done, and this guy's going, so look, it's all right. Enjoy it and that, but do the rest yourself. It's all good. You can handle it from here.
Congratulations on your acceptance. That's super cool. I hope it all goes very well. And parents don't want their kids participating in video games, but really esports are just the gateway drug to critical theory and philosophy and classical literature.
Exactly.
See, we bait you guys with esports, but really it's about Dostoevsky and Nietzsche. If you were the script writers for the LoL circuit up through MSI, what are some storylines you would be sure to hit? Oh, this is a cool question. So if we were coming into MSI, what storylines would we want to hit?
There's the super team angle. You got Genji, you got BLG. There's some T1 obviously didn't win MSI last year. That's a pretty big one. They've never won MSI. Yeah. Will they win finally with their third crack with the same light? There's a big one for you.
Yeah, this lineup not having won MSI is really cool. I think T1 actually coming in as a favorite to MSI. Like, I think T1, as crazy as it sounds, I would actually like T1 to battle back and win a domestic title again with this roster, because it's been 3 in a row that they've lost out to Gen.G. So I think it'd be fun for them to come into MSI and then lose MSI to Gen.G. Like, obviously, I want Gen.G to do well because they've failed at the international tournaments, and this is a mostly new roster.
He has to be a big one as well, right? It's like World Trophy winning a national tournament, yeah.
But BLG is really cool to watch right now too. So I'm BLG falling flat, right at the finish line. Last year, I think that's an interesting story to go on, because they didn't live up to their potential at Worlds. Like, I think we can say that. And now they've got a new roster as well that should be really good. Ultimately, though, I want to see BLG versus T1 or Gen.G in the finals of MSI. I think that would be.
Assuming it's an English broadcast, an obvious angle would be, can G2 or FlyQuest or can any of these Western teams do anything? I feel like that's an obvious temperature check in the middle of the split, season rather.
I think with the way that the bot lane of FlyQuest is shaping up, they could actually have a very. I think they could actually take games potentially against good teams internationally. I don't think they're going to win. Like they're too rookie, unfortunately, to win probably a series. But the top side of the map is good enough, and the mechanics of some of their players. I think even just going to an MSI would be amazing for FlyQuest's like young players in the bot lane to level up. So that.
All I'm going to tell you is, you'll know if FlyQuest win even a single BO1 or game in any context against an Asian team, because you'll see me doing that usual thing where I'll point out that Jensen has had so much more international success than Bjergsen that he's a fraud. Bjergsen's a fraud. So you'll see it all over my Twitter. You'll know if it happened. Don't worry. You'll know. You'll know if Jensen won a game. I'll let you know.
The Ballon d'Or is the most prestigious award in European soccer. And famously, over the past 15 years, this award has been dominated by Messi and whoever Real Madrid decides to market for the year. And Messi actually won more. Has there ever been another individual in the history of team-based competition where their only rival is the greatest org of the competition and still come up on top?
He's made it too specific there, hasn't he?
Yeah, I don't actually know too much about the history of this award, so I'm very ignorant about soccer and Messi's career. So
I mean, it's a shit question, I will say. So I'm trying to think. Essentially, it has to be someone with the greatest player. They don't have an actual another player to be a rival. They have. By the way, I hope you understand. I know you won't know because you won't know football, but that's just a dickhead Messi fan saying Ronaldo isn't even his rival. Even though, by the way, the Ronaldo players won more like Champions Leagues than the Messi guy and like scored a Brazilian goals too. So it's like, it's one of those ones where essentially this dickhead's just going like, fucking like pick any other two fucking people with like rivals. Like, essentially his logic goes like this. Like, it's like if I hated Bjergsen, so I went, you know when Jensen was the best mid laner in LCS and his only rival was the Orc TSM? So has there ever been a time when, a player like Jensen didn't have a... So essentially it's already a stupid question. So the problem is his premise. I won't accept his premise to do it. But I'm trying to think if there is one overall, because it'd have to be someone where the team, I guess, would go... Well, the obvious one would be Counter-Strike, wouldn't it? Like, Simple was the greatest player, but Astralis, the team, was his rival, right? It was the problem was the greatest team was the one that... There you go. There's one for you. P.S. Fuck you, Messi fan. My camera's
what would you
fucked,
change?
That might just be me. Apparently on the stream, my camera's fucked, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I'll
turn it on off or something?
Yeah, just turn it on.
Just me?
It's fine. No, it's just the server. There you go. You're back.
Did it come back? Yeah.
Your voice was fine that whole time.
Okay.
What would you change to the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen to save Sean Connery's last movie? Could I make it like the actual graphic novel, guys?
The thing is, it's almost nothing like the comic, is it?
It's nothing like the... Dude, Alan Moore's The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is a fucking banger graphic novel. It is dark as fuck. Like, it is dark, okay? It is like a, an kind of an exploration in what the reality of all of these Victorian era science fiction and fantasy characters would actually do with these powers. And these people are messed up. And like, the Invisible Man becomes a villain effectively in the comic. And he's like ripped apart by, Mr. Hyde. Like, it's fucked up. And so what they did was they didn't actually make the movie that would have been like an R-rated movie that would have been really good. The comic is excellent, guys. It is so good. And so when you watch what they did, which was create this like children's superhero movie out of it. It was like
a silly team movie. It was almost like a fucking JLA type thing, wasn't it? They just took the characters and did a silly movie that had nothing to do with it, basically, yeah. So essentially, he's right, just stick with the script. Go back to the comic.
It's really easy. Just make the comic. The comic is good. And, it could be very visually spectacular as well if you use the comic, because there's a lot of cool stuff. But it's nothing like the graphic novel, guys. It's absolutely
nothing. And as he says, it was even a decently cast movie. Like, you had Sean Connery, fucking Stuart Townsend's no problem. Like, they have some good actors in that movie, yeah.
If you actually make it the film it's supposed to be. And I think the casting, Alan Quartermain for Sean Connery is just great casting.
Oh, I nailed it.
Just great casting.
Yes.
So just a terribly written, conceived movie.
And it potentially cost us any more movies from Sean Connery. Just like, if this is movies now, I'm out. Fuck it. Peace.
Yep. In recent years, there's been a lot of problems within the esports community relating to alternate identities, homosexuality being a large one. The Rainbow Riders had the idea of influencing people with homophobic culture through cultural exchange. That's what they were doing, and we talked about this on an episode of SI. So exactly how long will it take for LS to become the coach of T1? Sorry if that wasn't funny. I'm trying to cope with the bleak reality. Yeah, I mean, this is the problem with doing this, right? Is that thinking that you can use esports as a Trojan horse to change cultures is just ridiculous. It's just a ridiculous concept. And to those people saying, well, maybe we can show it, do it slowly over time. The thing is that by not being overt, because you're trying to avoid scandal within these cultures, you actually are just not passing on any kind of message whatsoever. Right?
It's the opposite. You're intentionally suppressing your message exactly because you know that they don't agree. So what you're saying is, in the hierarchy of values, I prioritize what you believe in over what I believe in. So it's by definition the opposite of influencing. They're influencing you with their money.
Yep.
It's actually, but the joke is they must be laughing themselves to sleep when they say that we agree to all this shit.
And in T1's case, the people who didn't want LS to be coach won. Like, what lesson did they learn?
They really did.
What lesson did they learn? Nothing. They learned that by making a big stink over it, they get to discriminate. That's what they learned. So I don't know, man. It's not there. There isn't a way to make it unbleak, because unfortunately, the only ways to address this situation is to take a stand. But at the end, people just want money. They don't want to actually stand on their morals. So it doesn't happen ever. Thorin, in the past few years, you have tried to be a voice for the teams. In this vein, can we take a minute and appreciate the rage that Vitality must have felt when they saw Perks playing for league minimum, or not quite league minimum, after paying him?
But yeah, relative, yeah, sure.
Yeah, after paying him quite a bit in previous years.
Yeah, but the problem with that is what you always have to remember, and this is the mistake people always make with transfers, is there are two ways to evaluate a transfer. They're both legitimate, but they can't be blurred. One is at the moment of the transfer, knowing what you know at that moment, is it a good deal on that? You can evaluate already. Is it overpriced? Is the player actually the right player? Is he even good enough? Does he have potential? Then, once you know what happens, like you do with Vitality, then you can evaluate, was it ever a good deal? Well, you can do the same thing, but you should never blur the two, because then you'll end up with scenarios where someone buys a player for way too much money. He turns out to be awesome, but they couldn't have known that. That was actually an objectively bad transfer. Meanwhile, other ways around, anyway, you get the point. So what I would say is this. The problem is, in a way that'd be annoying, because obviously you paid him a king's ransom to get nothing out of it. You got no finals, no titles, no worlds, nothing. You got almost nothing except a bit of perks for hype from fans. But the problem is he had to get paid mega bucks because he was coming from Cloud9, guys. The deal size, I mean, as Jack said, as far as we know, he didn't lose money on it. He just essentially passed the contract off to Vitality. So he was getting paid mega bucks. Whereas the difference is, after Vitality, one, esports winter had happened, so there was no money anyway. And then two, he's in a situation where, because of this national recruiting approach, I basically heard there was no choice. Maybe he could have gone to a worse team on more money, but if he wanted a team like this where he has some pieces to maybe win with, he had to go and basically that's his way in the team, isn't it? So I'll give you a discount, basically. So I see what you mean. It might be slightly annoying to Vitality. I mean, the obvious joke is they're not going to be that annoyed right now, are they? They're fucking loving it now. So we don't pay him, and who gives a fuck what they pay him? He is not good. So again, it depends what point in the history I think we're looking from. They paid him too much, though, that's for sure. It was modest money. But that was before esports winter, so it's just the way it was, guys.
Turn your camera off and on again, would you please?
Okay.
We're getting discorded today, guys. We're getting discorded. As esports historians, I'm not, just Thorin. Try it again. Do it again. Just fucked up again.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, this is what happens when they lay off all of Discord staff. There you go. As esports historians, what would be the single match, add Series 2 if you like, that was the best single-handed 1v9 carry?
Ooh.
I know the answer to this in League.
Go on, what is it in League?
It was the IEM Cologne tournament that Reaper won by himself on the original iteration.
IEM Cologne. It was 2012
yes.
IEM Cologne. Yes, against Fnatic.
Against Fnatic. So for those of you who know about this was after Reaper was kicked out of Blaze, MIG Blaze, and he actually formed the first iteration of SK Telecom's roster before they disbanded this one and formed the one with Faker later on in 2013. But he went to IEM Cologne in 2012 as a member of SK Telecom, and he had a bunch of bums around him, players that never did anything ever at all. It was like Mightily was the mid laner. Their bot lane was like Raven and Starlast. These are players who never showed up again. And he, through top lane, hard carried against Fnatic. And this was the Fnatic with like Soaz and Xpeke and shit. I have never seen a tournament or a match where one player like actually 1v9. His teammates were bots, guys. They were bots. Like, he was microing them so hard that at one point, this is a true story, his AD carry went back to base and asked Reaper what he should buy. Reaper said, buy a cloak. And he bought a Negatron cloak for MR as an AD
instead
carry.
Of the crit one, obviously.
Instead of the crit cloak.
Yes.
That's how much of these people were bots. Okay? So if you want to see the performance of 1v9, go watch I Am Cologne 2012 and watch SK Telecom. It is crazy.
By the way,
there is only one answer to this in League of Legends, and it is that. That is the answer.
By the way, the people saying like Faker at Season 7 Worlds, actually Hooney gets underrated. He was actually the other character. Think about it. Faker's playing Galio. You can't actually 1v9 on Galio. That is like you set up the fucking team. So Hooney actually wasn't bad in some of those series. He had some carry games.
Well,
the
it's
ones,
also 1v9. Like 1v9 implies you're fighting against your own team.
Yeah.
And like I've never seen anybody fight against their own team and still win like Reaper did at that tournament.
Like the obvious examples in Counter-Strike are obviously like Ziwu and Simple, or old school Nico and Mouse Sports where they were dreadful. Like the ones off the top of my head is I remember when Ziwu had the ESL Cologne run his first year, 2019. You might remember famously people pulled up that players box from HLTV where it shows you for the whole team what the ratings are, what the plus minus. And the joke was Ziwu was like plus a bazillion and then everyone else was like 0 or negative, and he was in the final for fuck's sake. And then for Simple, he had a gang of them back in like 2017, 2018, but a famous one was at Star Series, the one they lost to Mouse Sports early on in 2018, where again, he was just like he was dropping like 40 bombs and losing the maps, mate, like because the other players were just shitting the bed so hard. So they're the obvious ones in Counter-Strike, and actually Counter-Strike as a game somewhat facilitates more doing a 1v9 than League does. That's why in League, Monty's right, unless you know like some extra intangible things, it's hard to know, like, was his teammate actually against him? Who knows? But in that case, we actually almost have proof that those teammates were utter noobs. And most of them, by the way, never did anything ever again in League of Legends. That was it. Done. And they were beating the best Western teams that we had at the time. We were very competitive. Yeah, exactly. That is monstrous.
It was great. It was great. I actually should go back in the offseason and watch those games because they were like fucking. Those games are fucking hilarious, guys.
Yeah, I've no doubt.
Imagine that you're visiting Tartarus. You see, bound to a gaming chair, a person looking straight at an active screen. Sisyphus, on his break, approaches you and said, "The poor soul, they're condemned to forever watch LEC matches played by the Winter 2024 Rogue roster." Okay. Who is this person? And what have they done in the mortal realm for this punishment to be exacted upon them? This person could be anyone in the LoL esports scene. So who are we punishing with an endless reel of Rogue's recent performances?
I mean, logically Fly. The general manager role. I don't even know if he's the GM.
He's already getting punished, though.
He already has to watch him, true. But it'd have to be someone like, here's the thing. If you actually want to make it funny, it probably should be like Dom or Cade or something who would just be mailed in forever watching the game or something. That'd be entertaining for us. It'd be like a feedback cycle, you know? Maybe that's what Dom gets for daring to go against God, Faker, and T1. He is consigned forever to watch Rogue Winter Split 2024 BO1 games on loop.
To Monty, during one of your Bangers Only stream, you mentioned watching a K-drama. What are your favorite K-dramas? I don't watch a lot of K-drama, guys. Preferably not K-movies. So K-movies are way better than K-dramas, but anyway, we won't do that.
I'd probably go to fucking K-hole. That's just me, though, you know.
If Thorin has ever seen any. So I did watch Itaewon Class, and I did kind of enjoy it. Because it was they literally filmed it in my old neighborhood in Gyeongnidan in Seoul. So it was really fun because they were like actually like outside my apartment building at times, and seeing my old neighborhood in that context was fun, and I thought the story was good. Doa and I are currently watching Gyeongsong Creature, which is a kind of like the I don't know, the Korean version of Stranger Things, except set in World War II, which is fun. Like, it's not bad. It has like some kind of Lovecraftian elements with like supernatural monster horror. Like, it's fun. It's fun. So I've been watching that recently, but K-drama is like really cheesy, guys. Like I can't handle like the like slow-mo love interest, and it's very cliched. It's very cliched. I'm not a huge fan. I'm much more of a fan of Korean cinema, which I think is wildly inventive a lot of the time. And like
Oh no, the
really
joke
genuinely
about
very good.
Korean dramas is it very much is like the Asian equivalent of like telenovelas from like fucking
Yes.
Mexico or whatever.
Yes.
Like it's
Yes.
so over the top and melodramatic, and the music even comes in super cheesy and cliche. But that's because it is for your literal grandmother to watch or something, you know, who's just sat on a couch. That's her way of having a thrill for life. So I will say one aspect that's interesting about K-dramas is this: they do this thing in it which actually tells you how Korean culture is structured. Because you know, there's always a storyline where, like, when you get on the bus to go to work or school, Monty, you see that person from school who probably should have been your amour or your true love. But the problem is that, you know, now you've got like the salaryman boyfriend or future fiance. And so you wish you could be with this person, but you can't be in that. Like in the Western culture, you'd have just gone with that person. It'd be you cheating on everyone. In theirs, they do hold up the structure of sort of like you meant to do your duty and are you a good son or daughter? So a lot of it is also reinforcing cultural shit. So since I'm not from that world, I just don't get it. Like there's nothing there for me, essentially. There's nothing there for me.
Yeah. I just find it weird that they're so cheesy, and like Korean films are often not at all. Like it seems like very different. Like even though it's just a like it's not even a genre, it's just like a TV versus film difference. The tonal difference is very different between the two things oftentimes. Any chance the LFN Culture channel does its own book club style series, or are the YouTube algorithm gods too demanding and would kill it with its, I assume, infrequent episodes? It's a possibility if we took a...
The bigger problem for me on that one is this, Monty. It's obvious. It's like when people asked, why don't we watch animes? Because it's one thing to watch a 2-hour film. How the fuck am I going to read a 1,000-page book or watch like 100 episodes of an anime? Like, it's not that we can't. Yeah. It's just what... first of all, it doesn't even monetize. It doesn't even make sense. It would actually be an insane opportunity cost loss for us to do that. Like, it wouldn't make sense.
So, and also, I think the problem is that when you get to books, like the way to do a book club is in segments, but then we
end up chapter by chapter. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, we do like, you divide it up in reasonable, you know, amounts of time, but then we end up doing like 10 shows on the same book. And like, are you guys actually going to watch that? Like, I question that. Thorin and I have talked about doing one for graphic novels, which would be much more palatable. And I think we could actually bang that one out relatively easily.
Yes.
Because we'd probably do like limited series where, or, you know, even if it was a longer series, we could do it in like 4 episodes, which would be a much more reasonable amount of time. That is on the table. The graphic novel book club is definitely on the table, and we've talked about that. But we're not going to read War and Peace, guys. That's not happening. Longtime listener, first-time subscriber. I was finally able to turn my concrete/mason highway construction foreman job into something that can support 5 kids in the NYC suburbs and still have a disposable income. That is impressive. In light of all of the talks of layoffs in esports winter and possibly a dream of esports spring, I'm wondering how Monty and Thorin would run a team if given absolute control. Would you mid-max spend for a title shot or just min your way to greener pastures? What would you do?
Say that again, the last part. Fucking hell, I'm tired. Say it again. Come on.
I'm wondering how Monty and Thorin would run a team if given absolute control during esports winter. Would you mid-max spend for a title shot right now, or would you just min your way to greener pastures? So like, you know, take the money that is coming in from like the stipends in LCS or, you know, franchise league.
I think at this point, it's almost irresponsible to spend and get big name players, because then if one player is shit, you are fucked. There's no replacement you can bring in. And if it's in Germany and LEC, you're going to keep paying that guy the salary. So I actually think now is the worst time ever to go for big names. Like, you actually should go for, like, put it this way. My example would be, I think the way SK built their team this year, they do it anyway on all the other years anyway, but this year's the most appropriate. They nailed that. Like, I'll guarantee there's no way. Considering that team could end up coming like 3rd or 4th still potentially, there's no universe they're paying that amount of salary, in my opinion. So I would do the min-max. The obvious thing I would do is I would spend most of my money on the coaching staff, Monty, and I would let them pick the players. And find me an ERL player, find me a player you're going to reclaim who was good in the past, get me like an all right player, and then you mix it together in the right blend, you know. I'd do the min-max approach, pretty sure.
Yeah, I would just do min. You know, honestly, right now, because unfortunately the problems of esports are so systemic that the right approach is simply to exist in the franchise leagues, because at the end of the day, The developers do not have the team's backs in this at all. Like, Riot just killed the digital platform that was supposed to replace media rights with digital goods sales. Like, in my opinion, the publishers and the developers cannot be trusted to actually fix the business of the teams. They haven't done anything that gives you any level of confidence that they're going to sell media rights or that they're going to follow through with the platform to give you better cuts of digital goods. Maybe in Valorant, that's true. But then you don't own the slot, right? And you're forever just like, you have to suck up to Riot until the end of time, or they just revoke your slot, your partnership position that you have in Valorant. So it really just feels like the fundamental ways that teams make money, is broken. And so I would just be sitting there waiting for them to do something that would inspire me to spend money again, because I need to see a way that me spending money on my team makes me money back.
I mean, the obvious thing to Monty, the flaw right now is this. A fan is going to think, because you know how simplistic their understanding of business, they're going to think, yes, but Monty, if you sign the big names and you win the LEC or LCS, then your team will get more sponsors because you are famous and you have won. That doesn't exist, right?
Doesn't exist now. I mean, I can just tell you from talking to team owners, like, sponsorships are way down. Even big names that you see right now with the teams are paying far less money than you think. Like, far less money. Like, major corporations are signing discount deals with the teams. And the teams do it because they don't have any other choices, right? Awesome. And because it's optically, it looks good, but yes, they're not signing deals that are worth millions and millions of dollars, guys. Like, these deals are not good.
Like, put it this way, if you could see the numbers, I'll guarantee years ago when they had that Puma deal with Cloud9, I'll bet that's like stratospheres beyond anything that's in LCS now, mate. Come on.
I'm pretty sure that's true. So just remember that, like, the fundamental business model of being a team is so busted, and the developers don't seem to be doing anything to fix it. In Activision's Blizzard's case, they simply dissolved Overwatch League, so now it doesn't exist. So what is the method that works? Like, suckling on the teat of Saudi Arabia? Like, that seems like it's what's next, because everything else has gone away. The VC went away, right? The VC went away. The crypto went away. That's gone now. So where are we? We're now at Saudi sovereign wealth fund status, and frankly, a lot of the developers like Riot prevent you from having betting sponsors, which I think are vastly preferable. I don't have an ethical issue.
Monty. Think about this for a second. Can I have betting sponsors? No, on moral and ethical grounds, I couldn't do that. Now, if you excuse me, I just need to go and meet the King of Saudi Arabia. What are you talking about, you lunatic? What are you talking about?
Excuse
me. That's esports.
I have been told by Tencent, which is a puppet of the Chinese government and literally pays tithes for common prosperity to the Chinese government directly, that I must now go to Saudi Arabia and operate our esports tournament there. Farewell. Like, come on.
It would be the only right thing to do, I guess. Sorry, we're going straight. We're just working with Saudi Arabia. It's mad, isn't it? What a world. What a fucking world.
At least in Counter-Strike, it feels a little bit like slightly more sane because of the open circuit, that there might be ways to profitability, and the fact that digital goods actually do sell very well at the Counter-Strike majors. So Counter-Strike feels like the most sane game to be in right now, and especially because
the joke is, Monty, and you can go and look at Tommy Lurpus's stuff. Sadly, now he's got his account unprotected, so if you were to follow it, you'd chow a lock unless he accepts. But basically, he's done loads of work and written articles that explain that actually Counter-Strike is the only game right now where actually there is tied to what you're saying. The reason why you would pay millions more for Simple instead of gambling on like a half as good CIS Hopper for no money is because Simple almost guarantees you can get in the major, which gets you the sticker, which does actually bring you money and revenue. So like there is that. That's why at the moment you see that the numbers have gone up for Counter-Strike. There is big deals and buyouts because there is like an actual cycle where you can get feedback of money.
Right. And because spending money in that case for star players or famous players or successful rosters does in fact translate into more digital goods sold.
Yes.
Which, in League of Legends, it might do that, but unfortunately only the world's winners get skins. So we just can't fucking know. We just can't know. Like, I think we can agree that had there been a Bjergsen TSM skin, that it would have sold a fucking lot of skins,
course.
and like that would have been really successful. But because that didn't happen, we can't say that for sure. But it does happen in Counter-Strike. So until some of these very broken aspects of the revenue model are fixed, I think it's very difficult for me to justify spending, at least in the team space.
I think that's also why I hate Riot. Because they'll do that where they paint themselves and you into a corner and then go, well, what are you going to do now that I've painted us into a corner? And it's like you say, the idea they chose not to put out a Bjergsen Zillion skin where he has a little crown on is fucking insane. You essentially just said, you know what, TSM, we could just give this free money to both of us, but fuck you. Why not just not do that? Like, that's just money on the floor. All you have to do is reach over, pick it up. You didn't. It's mad. I can't even conceive it. It's actually crazy to me. Or a double lift vein skin or something. There's a million angles you could have gone with.
Because their thing is like, but then it would be unfair, and then we would have to make skins for every team, and like we have 100 professional teams.
Oh, well, there's nothing Riot would do, like be unfair and treat people arbitrarily one way, and then a total other set of people another way. Well, that never happened, of course. Fucking hell. I know it's mad, isn't it? The rationale they have is so nuts. Because they always do this thing where to actually talk to them, you have to accept the premise they're reasonable actors. Well, from that, everything flows and they can make an excuse. If you actually know they're a bunch of fucking twats who just want control and are mad, petty and vindictive and spiteful, then actually everything makes sense. All of a sudden, you don't need their shit excuses. You can reverse engineer everything they've done.
All right, guys, we got through most of the questions this week. We're going to call it there for right now. We'll see you next week for more Summoning Insight. Till then.